Hey everyone, welcome to GameFace, episode 376 on Sifted Games at SIFTD.net. I'm Shane Satterfield. I'm the founder of Sifted. And before we get going today, I want to deliver a special message to our subscribers and our patrons because right now we're going through some stuff, like some big time stuff. I've kind of kept it under the hood here over the last 8 or 9 days. I didn't want to raise any alarms more than I need to, but things have gotten to the point where I need to kind of mention what's been going on. So some of you guys may have noticed, and we've had an article pinned to the top of our website for the last week, basically, telling you guys if you're having problems with your accounts, let us know, and we'll try to save your accounts, because a lot of you guys, your payments haven't been going through if you're on our old subscription system on SIFTD.net. And the reason that has happened is because our credit card processor has been suspending our account because hackers have been hacking our website. And I don't want to go into too much detail on what's going on. All I'm going to say is that they're not after your information. You guys aren't in any danger at all. They're not trying to get... Also, by the way, your information is not even on our servers, so they couldn't get it if they wanted to. However, what they're doing is they're using our credit card processor for fraud. And we have been in a scramble mode. The people who are doing this are very, very good. We have 3 site engineers working on this right now, trying to stop the attacks, and we haven't been able to stop them. We just had another one this morning. And so we're in extreme danger right now. You can hear in my voice, I'm starting to get a little emotional. So what's happened is this hacker, is running stolen credit cards through our credit card processor. And they're running just thousands and thousands of charges, hoping to find one credit card that's still active that they can then go and charge on. So they're charging all these small amounts through our credit card processor. The problem for us is that, one, there's thousands of these charges, and we have to go back and manually refund each one. I literally spent 2 days doing it from the first attack, and we've now had 3. So what's happening is they're making all these false charges. The real problem for us, other than the risk of losing our credit card processor, which is a very big deal, is that if we don't refund all these charges before the credit card companies realize that the cards are stolen and there are illegal charges on those cards, we get what's called a chargeback. And basically they're saying, hey, they charged something illegally through your website, we need that money back, which is fine. We're trying to refund those manually. But there's thousands of them. And some of the website doesn't work as it should to refund the stuff. And some of the stuff won't refund no matter what we do. And we're getting chargebacks for those. So the chargebacks aren't that big a deal because they're $1. And we have the money. We want to give the $1 back anyway. The problem is for each one of those chargebacks, you get a huge fine or fee. And if we're talking about thousands and thousands of charges, and if that fee is $30, you can do the math. It literally could bankrupt us and end Sifted. I haven't talked about this all week because we were trying to figure out solutions. So I guess what I would say is our accounts are down now. So if any of your subscriptions are scheduled to renew over the next week and a half, because we have to jump through a bunch of hoops to get our account reinstated with the credit card processor. We already did that twice, and now we have to do it a third time. They may not even reinstate our account. But if they do, it's going to take around a week. So any of you who have your on-site subscriptions that are coming up over the next week, chances are those payments aren't going to go through. However, if they do put our account up fast enough, I can still save your on-site subscription. But the problem is you have to let me know. There is no way for us to go on the website of our credit card processor and sort by transactions that were denied. So the only way we can save your account on Sifted is if you let us know. And we will do the best that we can to do that. And if not, if you've lost your on-site account, then you're going to have to go to Patreon. Patreon.com/Sifted. That's the only way. And so we could potentially lose thousands and thousands of dollars to these chargeback fees. Another big problem is that we're losing subscribers. Some people have been subscribed to Sifted that aren't even gamers. They're just people that want to support me and have just left their credit card there and we're going to lose all those people. They're never coming back. There are some people who are lapsed that don't use Sifted as much as they used to. They're probably gone forever. It's a complete and utter nightmare. And so I've been working all week while dealing with this stuff. I know we were supposed to launch some new content on last Friday. That's why there was no new content on Friday, because that's when the second carding attack happened. And we worked all weekend to work through that. And then today, another one happens. And we're right back at ground zero again. So I don't even know what to say. Look, I have been transparent with you guys from day one with Sifted. And that's the way it's going to be until the end. And this could very well be the end. I don't know. I can't believe I worked so hard for something and an asshole hacker could take it all away from me. So I don't know what to tell you guys. Like, I'm here. I'm on Sifted. You can DM me at Shane. You can send emails to support@sifted.net. We are here. We're trying to work with you guys to get this stuff sorted out. No one cares about this more than I do, obviously. But I think most importantly for you guys, don't worry. Like, no one was trying to get your information. They were just trying to use our credit card processor to check stolen credit cards so that they could then go and spend exorbitant amounts on those credit cards, basically. And really the messed up part is, in this last attack, the hackers left notes to us in the code that said, sorry, Sifted. So anyway, that's what's been going on. I saw a couple of you were salty that we didn't have a show on Friday. That really hurt me, to be honest, with what I'm going through, that you guys would complain about that. But now you know why there wasn't a show on Friday. But anyway, that's what's going on. And with that, here's Matt Kyle. What's up, Matt? I hope your week has been better than mine.
Yes, I think it was a lot better.
Yeah. Yes. How was your week, in fact?
It was good. We did a birthday thing at the movie night group that I go to that we've been trying to do for a very long time, which was to run Explorers, one of my favorite movies from when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. And one of my friends, his stepdad wrote it. So he came in and we did a little Q&A and talked about the movie a bit, and he got to see that a room full of people still love the movie, and
that's awesome.
He felt good, so it was good. That was kind of in the end, that was kind of my birthday gift to myself, was like getting to give back a little bit to the guy who made that movie.
That's awesome, so man. We don't get to do that often enough in life, I believe.
Although you get to do it more often in LA than you think.
That's true.
So
it's funny. People think about LA as like this gigantic city where you're just like a number and nobody knows who you. That's not the way it is here, man. It's way smaller than you think. Like, I told my mom, like, we go to restaurants in our neighborhood and people know us. And that blew my mom's mind. She was like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. Like, our little neighborhood is just like a neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The locale you're in, for sure. It's just, people don't realize that. I remember one year I had some friends, they were here for E3. And there's always that last day when E3 ends on Thursday and everyone's still here on Friday because they don't fly back till Friday night. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, just come out to the G4 office. Like, come out and hang out and we'll go get lunch and stuff. So they did. And we walked from the office down on Wilshire to La Brea because at the time the hotness was Umami Burger.
Oh yeah, opened. Which is kind of like disappeared now.
Yeah, it's gone. It's pretty much gone now, except for like maybe one.
Yeah.
But it was like the beginning of the burger renaissance in LA, which was the food craze that happened after the food truck craze. But so we walked down from the office, which was it's like a mile down a kind of a smallish street, like a couple down from Wilshire, and you get down to La Brea, and they were like, oh my God, there's trees and houses, and I'm like, yeah, people live here. Yep. It's a neighborhood, like it's very walkable, and there's a pond with turtles in it, and it's like, but they'd only ever been to LAX and downtown. You know,
I mean, like, a lot of people are that way, or they're just LAX and Santa Monica, and they don't go anywhere else. They stay in their hotel and they go to the beach every day, and then they go back to LAX.
They don't know, like they thought LA was the airport and a concrete forest, like that's basically it. And like most of LA is just little warrens of neighborhoods, like off the main roads. You go one block in from like La Brea or Santa Monica or Hollywood Boulevard, and there's just little twisty warrens of parks and people. So anyway, LA isn't as big as you think. You should come and visit us, and we'll show you around to our favorite neighborhoods. That also means don't piss anybody off, because you never know when some random dude is like the guy who goes to lunch with Spielberg every Thursday.
They know where you live. Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, if you ever come and visit us, let us know. In fact, I've met several sifters who have come to LA to visit, who just dropped me a message like, hey, I'm coming into town. Would you be cool meeting up? Absolutely. Always down to get a beer with any of y'all. If you ever come to LA, just make sure you send me a DM or whatever. Get at me, and we'll make it happen. Let's actually check out chat real quick, because I do want to see what they were saying about...
My mic is low.
Your mic is low? Okay. We'll bring you up.
It looks the same as
it's the same as it always is, yeah.
But I'm also facing a different direction.
That's true, yeah.
I'm facing away from the mic more if I'm looking at the camera.
One Super Master Gamer, thank you for Twitch Prime. obviously, Twitch Prime matters more now than ever, people. If you're watching or listening to this show, I know we've asked you guys to do this a bunch of times, but we need it more now than ever. Shora F, thank you for Twitch Prime. Torian Till says, nothing wrong with Matt's mic. Weird. Okay, getting mixed messages there. Legacy, if I sub on YouTube and the payment reach you without any issues. Yeah, I mean, we get paid totally. You can subscribe, but I'm just saying this. It's not the best way to pay. You're kind of getting ripped off on YouTube, like for $1 or $2 per month. They don't give us enough flexibility to offer the same packages that we do on Patreon. So unfortunately, you're generally paying about $1 more per month if you join us on YouTube. But, you know, we appreciate any way that you can help us out. Link's so good, some people just suck. Yeah. I mean, the fact that the guy or girl, it could be a girl, left a note to us after what he did is disgusting. I know he thought it was like, oh, I'll make him feel better about it. No, that didn't do anything at all.
I mean, I think it's really a thing where it's like you find a website that has that vulnerability, you keep using it until it goes away.
Well, that's what he's doing.
And, and clearly he knows what he's doing is wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And feels a little bad about it, but he's like,
he doesn't care.
That's his business.
Yeah, exactly. So. That is shutting down mine.
Yep.
Hello, my one dude. Thank you for Twitch Prime. Link's so good. Thank you for Twitch Prime. Toast9, thank you for Twitch Prime. Commander Fett, thank you.
I feel like Toast9 subscribes every week. Time moves so fast.
Yeah. You guys are just will wishes. That's great, man. I appreciate it. I just want you guys to know. Also, by the way, some of you guys have noticed, this is the first ever episode of GameFace streaming live at 1080p. Worked out.
Courtesy of the recycled gaming beast.
Yeah. Worked all the kinks out for that. Still working on the cameras a little bit, but you guys really liked the show. The new show, which I was pleasantly surprised by. It was pretty much unanimous, particularly on YouTube. Our users there love the new show, and most of you guys did too. I think we had one person who was like, eh. But for the most part, you guys really liked it, which is great, because all the work that I put into that, if that would have failed on top of what's been going on behind the scenes, I may have absolutely lost my mind. I may still lose my mind. I feel like I'm like right on the edge. So anyway, just stuff that I've been dealing with. We'll see if we can survive. This next week is going to be a very pivotal week for us across the board, pretty much. But other than that, I think that's all the house. That's a lot of show intro there. But anyway, I'll keep you guys updated. If you guys are on the site, I keep updating that article that's pinned to the top of everybody's SIFs right now as we get more information. But the best thing you can do is as soon as you get that email saying that your payment didn't go through, contact us immediately. Immediately. Like as soon as you get it, because you have a very limited time for us to save your OG SIFTD account before it's wiped out forever, and you have to go over to Patreon. So just make sure that you do that. And let's see, so saying, look after your heart. My wife is very worried about me. This week, she has like come up to me like several times and said, like, you need to calm down. Like I'm freaking out. I'll be honest, I am freaking out. I don't think it's my heart though. It's more like my nerves. Like I have a horrible headache all day today. Anyway, it just sucks. But with that, it's time to get on with our housekeeping.
I still sound quiet compared to Shane. I am quiet compared to Shane.
Yeah, I'm really loud.
Also, you're being probably picked up on this mic too.
What's happening is I'm talking this direction, and your mic is that direction. So I will turn you up a little bit because you're right. You're looking in the different direction of your mic now. Mm-hmm. Okay, hopefully that helps out a little bit. Let us know as the show goes on.
I want to put it over here too.
Put what over here?
My mic.
Oh, you can't because of the way the tables are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's a wall.
Yeah, there's a wall there, unfortunately. Anyway, we're working on all this stuff. This is only our second episode with this new setup. We'll get it all figured out pretty soon.
You turn it around.
Yeah, you're right. I could, but then your legs won't fit because the other side has... Anyway.
No, it doesn't. It's all empty.
No, I mean this side.
Huh?
If you spin it around. Yeah, there's a wall that goes down. You can't get your legs underneath it. Anyway, yeah. I've got it all under control, man. Believe me. I know what we can and can't do. I'm working on it. So anyway, let's get on with our housekeeping for episode 376. Not a lot this week, which is a good thing because we have 4 games we're going to talk about in today's show, which we haven't had in quite a while, since probably last October maybe, or early November or something like that. Also, before we get going into housekeeping, I should just mention for the people who are listening to the show, out on any of the podcast services or if you're watching on YouTube, we are supported 100% by I know despite what I said to open the show, we are really supported 100% at Patreon at patreon.com/SIFTD. If you pledge just $4 a month, you get all our content at least 3 to 4 days early. You get Pachter Factor a week early. With all this stuff going on, we would just really appreciate it if some of you people who have been sitting on the fence waiting to support us could maybe jump in now. We'd really, really appreciate it. And with that, let's get on with housekeeping. We're going to discuss something that we were hoping we'd get an announcement on before today's episode. Unfortunately, that did not happen, but we've got more information, Matt, about the rumors that Xbox first-party exclusive games are going to end up appearing on other platforms. The announcement is on Thursday. They're doing, so Xbox launched this podcast thingy a while ago. I guess they're going to make all the announcements on the podcast show. But we'll know the actual details on Thursday. But stuff has already started to leak out. And some of this information actually comes via The Verge, which is a sister website of Polygon, which is a little weird that The Verge got this information and Polygon did not. But anyway, this comes from The Verge. And the first information that we've got is that there are 3 games that are targeted for other platforms right now. The first one is Hi-Fi Rush. We talked about this last week, how it's a great candidate because it's a smaller game. It's a really, really good game. It was a Game of the Year candidate for some people, but it's also smaller and one that I don't think is going to move a lot of consoles or really sell Game Pass subscriptions. So I think we both kind of agreed, like, hey, if you're going to put some of your exclusive games on other platforms, this is probably a good choice. Would you agree with that, Matt?
Yeah. And, like, you know, it's one of those games that you probably be exposed to as many people as you can.
Yeah. And then another game...
Honestly, they have very little in their exclusive stable that's going to move hardware. Like, that's part of the problem.
That's a good point, actually, Matt. Because here's one of the other games, and this one's definitely not moving hardware, and it's Pentiment. Also, some people thought this was like a Game of the Year contender.
I mean, if this is the kind of thing you're into, there's not a lot of competition.
Yeah. For a reason, I would argue.
But, well, I mean, I think it was very good. Mm-hmm. I liked it a lot. It's just, you know, not your thing.
No,
but,
definitely not. Yeah. I mean, I appreciated it and understood why some people really liked it, but it wasn't my thing. I see Squishy Muffin says B-roll looking sharp. Everybody enjoying that 1080p for the very first time for our live stream, which is great. It's good to see that you guys can see a difference.
Good that you started it with Pentiment.
Yeah, something that really pushes it. Well, we did show Hi-Fi Rush first. And then the third game that is rumored to be on the block to be distributed to other platforms is Sea of Thieves. And this game is so damn old, like it's way beyond its expiration date to drive sales of anything. But you put it on other platforms, all of a sudden, all those microtransactions start adding up, and you can make some money off of it because, you know, you're going to make your 30% cut or whatever the number ends up being off of any sort of sales that would go through for a game like Sea of Thieves. So any game as a service, to me, Matt, you'd almost be stupid to not put it on other platforms.
We'll tell Sony that.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk about one of those here in a little bit. But to me, like, what we heard so far about this, I don't think it's that bad. Like, if you're an Xbox...
Well, also, the guy who reported it, Jez Corden, really backpedaled on a lot, like the Starfield claim and things like that.
Yep, you're right. We should bring that up. That Starfield now looks like it's not a target.
And that dude's actually taking a break from Twitter now. Like, I think he got some bad info or overstepped something, or
that's a huge mistake.
Something happened there.
Yeah,
like, I'm not sure exactly what occurred there, but he put out some statements and was like, "I'm gonna step back from the Twitter thing." I'm like, "Okay, I just see what you mean." Yeah.
I don't think, Matt, people realize when you work in industries like this that things that you do could have gigantic ramifications. Like
what we do in life echoes in eternity.
But seriously, on Twitter. Like what he did could affect stock prices. It could remove like $1 billion off of Microsoft's like stock price. Like people don't realize the power that journalists have. And you go all willing, you're like, I got a scoop. A lot of people don't think before they tweet.
People don't realize the power some dumbass with a Twitter account has.
No, you're right.
Like if something catches fire, because now, you know, even though he put out the extra statements and clarified some things, there's thousands of people who don't know he did that, and they believe Starfield is coming to PlayStation and the Xbox is going away.
Yeah,
like you can't put that genie back in the bottle.
Yeah, Matt, what's the biggest Xbox exclusive that you would be okay with them giving to other platforms.
I think putting the Master Chief Collection on everything would be fine.
Yeah.
Like those games, Halo 1 through whatever have
You've made your money
done
on
their job.
those games at this point.
And there's no real reason not to. And like, what you put that out on something on PlayStation, and PlayStation people decide to dig Halo, and then they're like, oh, I want Infinite. We can't have Infinite unless you get a PC or a Xbox, and you never know.
Yeah.
And it's it's nothing but like extra sales at that point. I would even say, like, if you put out like a Gears trilogy collection, put that on everything.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. Like, at this point, like, what more money?
You know what? Put Forza Horizon trilogy on. Like, do like the old, like 1 through 3, or like you just can't because the licensing expired. But put like Forza Horizon 4 or something.
Yeah.
On PlayStation, and watch that thing blow up. Because they don't have anything like that anymore.
I mean, what more at this point, can you milk out of Halo?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think...
Well, now that Master Chief Collection is pretty much fixed, and runs really well, it'd be nice to give it to the PlayStation people so they don't have to. They never experienced the dark years of that group. But that's a really solid, amazing collection. What an amazing way to experience Halo for the first time if you've never played it before.
Oh yeah.
If you never owned an Xbox.
Well, plus you can spend very little money
Yeah.
and get a gigantic library of Halo games.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. That's the other thing too, is that Halo has kind of lost its relevance here. Like, you could actually kind of reinvigorate it with a whole new audience if you did it the right way.
Halo isn't like Xbox anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it should have been, but I think they blew that in the last 10 years. So I think Halo's pretty much just another franchise now.
Yeah, it kind of feels like it.
So yeah.
I mean, I think kind of proved with
that out there.
Series X that it doesn't move consoles anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of knew that, I think, though.
Yeah, I mean, once the Series S numbers are out, it's like, okay, so people aren't here for next gen stuff; they're here to play the baseline, basically.
And any predictions on what you think Phil's going to announce on Thursday?
I really don't know.
I'm really flummoxed too, man. I can't really figure it out because we're getting all these mixed signals from people.
I mean, I'm sure I know they said they were going to clarify this in the spring. This is not the spring yet.
Right.
So clearly this viral new report on social media prompted them to move quickly, probably for what you said, that you can lose $1 billion on your stock price if the wrong info gets believed widely enough.
Yeah.
So I imagine that's why. And it might be a kind of a nothing burger. It might be sort of like Hi-Fi Rush and Pentiment, and we're considering things in the future. Xbox isn't going anywhere. Starfield's not going anywhere.
I even closed the door on it being nothing.
Yeah.
That it was just wrong reporting.
Yeah.
Like, he could just go on that podcast and be like, I don't know where they got this stuff. We're not doing that. Like, I'd be surprised, but it could still happen.
Yeah. Well, in that case, if you are doing it, like, so lying and then revealing you lied about that 3 months later is probably not a great look.
Right.
If they are doing something like that, I think we'll hear about it, at least the first steps of it. But I would imagine it will be couched in a much more diplomatic presentation than, like, all our stuff is going to every other platform, and Xbox is an irrelevant brand now outside of being a Game Pass delivery service.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they got to do something. And like I said before, I think it's contingent on how much they think their new kind of lineup will be able to move the needle. And if I were them, I don't know if I would. Isn't it? It's hard to predict, but also if I were, I mean, I don't see anything in that initial stable that's really going to set the Xbox hardware sales world on fire. Outside of maybe Fable, but that's next year at the earliest, I would think. And I don't, like, Avowed looks cool, but I don't think that's going to appeal to the mainstream too much.
Yep.
I don't know. Like, I don't know what you do. Like, I feel like they were kind of hit this. They had all their eyes on the goal of, like, oh, we got to get to the point where we're really putting out the first party content from the new studios we've acquired, and they finally got to that point. But then they realized, like, oh, that first wave of that content, it might be really good. You know, Hellblade 2 might be great. Avowed might be great. But it's not a mass retail great lineup, you know? Although I will say I was at Best Buy yesterday for the first time in forever, and they had stacks and stacks of PlayStation 5s and Xbox Series X's and Xbox Series S's. Every console was ready to go for the first time I've ever seen that.
I was just at a Best Buy actually trying to get find Helldivers at retail. And they just had piles and piles of PlayStation 5s. Piles. And they had a little stack of Xbox as well, but...
Yeah, I saw 3 people walking around with PlayStation 5 box.
Really?
Carrying around. Like, so people are buying them.
No, for sure.
Sure.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. We only have to wait until Thursday to find out exactly what's going on with this. As always, it will be curated to Sifted. You guys will be able to check it out as soon as it happens at sifted.net. Provided we're still around on Thursday. Who knows what's going to happen? I hate to say that, but it's kind of true. So, all right, next up on housekeeping, we got some more information on the Switch 2, or is this Super Nintendo Switch? Is that what you're calling it?
I insist they should call it the Super Nintendo Switch.
We got some more information on that. Not big news, but we did get some information from Reuters, which is pretty much dyed-in-the-wool, legit source. There's a better source than that.
That's about as dry as news gets, except for the AP. So.
Yep. And the information that we got is that, in fact, the Switch 2 is releasing this year. They didn't commit to a quarter or a month or anything like that. And then probably the biggest news for tech heads out there is that NVIDIA is building a custom chip for the Switch 2. So if you remember...
we don't make anything this weak or cheap, so we're going to have to make you something special.
That's pretty much what's happening. Yeah. But the thing is, it's still an improvement, Matt, because if you remember... the Switch 1 just had that off-the-shelf Tegra 1
it was just the
mobile chip.
Yeah, it was just the NVIDIA Shield repackaged.
Yeah. And I'm kind of impressed, actually, with that chip, like what it's done.
Yeah, it's performed pretty well for a 10-year-old thing. But, like, making a custom chip for what Nintendo plans to do with it is probably better.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be better in the long run for this system.
Bottom line, if you're wondering, this is good news. if they just said, we're just going to use the Tegra 3 chip or whatever, the next evolution of that
it's better they're not using off the shelf for this.
Yeah, for sure. Although it may increase the price of Switch 2.
Might be why they're not going for OLED.
That you may be right. That's where I was going. That's where I was headed. So it may increase the price of Switch 2 because, as Matt said, off-the-shelf parts, they're already manufacturing those. You don't have to set up new manufacturing lines.
And
or
honestly,
anything.
At that point, they were done with the Shield, so it's like, oh, you
want these?
Like,
yeah, exactly. So it could increase the price a little bit, but I think it's worth it if we get better performance out of Switch 2. I would totally be fine with that trade-off.
Yeah.
If it's an extra $25 per unit, I'd pay it.
I'll pay for performance.
Yeah.
I will pay for perform.
You can do it.
You know what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying.
I'll pay for performance. As long as I don't want to pay for gimmicks.
Good thing we have these pop filters.
Cramming all the stupid gimmicks into the Joy-Cons. I don't like paying for that, but I'll pay for better frame rate.
Agreed. Yep. So anyway, just more. It's all adding up now. All the information on Switch 2. We're starting to get a clearer picture of what it's going to be, how powerful it's going to be. Pretty exciting times. We should be learning a lot more pretty soon, honestly. I mean, I would think by end of March, mid-April, we should get something from Nintendo about this, something official. Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, probably by, I don't know, either March or April. Depends whether they want to kick that off in the old fiscal year to close strong with the investors or new fiscal year to be very exciting.
Another good point. Yeah. My bet is they're doing well this quarter, April.
Yeah, I don't think they need it.
They just actually talked about how they're doing shockingly well, and how the Switch 1 is still their primary business for 2024.
Yeah, so you're going to want to split that up. So you have good news and good business and good announcements for the investors in the final financial call. And then barely a month later, get ready for all this new revenue income because the Switch 2 is coming in September or whatever. Yeah. That makes the most sense to me.
Yeah.
If they're, because they're certainly, it's the opposite of where they were with the Switch.
Yeah.
They weren't there, coming off the Wii U. They're like, oh, there's something good coming. Like, everybody just sit down. Now they can call their own shots.
Yeah.
Whenever they want. Hell, they could announce this thing in July. Doesn't matter.
And then release it in like August.
Yeah.
And still, it doesn't matter. You're going to sell out your launch units. No problem. It's going to be hard, I think, to get a Switch 2 this year.
Yeah. I mean, I think it'll be as hard as getting a PS5 was.
Yeah.
Like, just because
now we're competing with the kids and the parents too, though, instead of just us.
Yeah, well, they're not going to be on top of the day one a minute that it goes live.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
I hope not. Otherwise, it might be impossible to get one.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yep, we will.
I got an Xbox and a PS5 pre-order in that day.
Yeah,
the days of their announcement.
It was a pain in the ass and it was hard, but I did get them in.
Yeah,
somehow, some way. So anyway, there you go. That's the latest information on Switch 2. Next up, a game some of y'all have been zeroing in on, and I think it was maybe the second most popular game from the last state of play, as far as
it's the number 2 pre-ordered game
comments and
on
stuff.
PlayStation right now.
Stellar Blade is this gratuitously sexy hack and slash PS5 exclusive coming from a studio that no one's really all that familiar with. Well, we got some news about this game this morning, actually. The ratings board in Korea has rated this game an AO, Matt, for sex and violence, both.
Yeah, well, there's your audience.
Oh, I think that was...
This game looks so generic.
It really does.
I can't even... Like, it looks like somebody put it together out of...
It looks like made by AI.
Parts of lesser nerds.
By the way, if you guys are wondering where our new show intro is, it's not going to be here for a while because I tried to use AI to create our new show open as an experiment, and it was a huge mistake.
Yes, that usually is.
I have completely bailed on that idea, and now we are going to do a different show intro, so it's going to be a while until we have our new intro. But anyway, just an aside there.
Also remember, this game has save points where you can rest.
Right, I forgot about that.
We're going to take 3 minutes to highlight that in our... What the...
Matt, do you think that this is really gratuitously violent and sexy? Or do you think the Korean ratings board was just having a weird an off week or something?
I think it's a bit of both. There's probably just different standards there.
I find it hard to believe that this would push the boundaries to be an AO. Like,
I mean, I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't know what their criteria are there. I don't know anything about Korean ratings board.
I mean, what kind of violence would you need if, like, hatred was an AO, but like God of War, where you rip a dude's head in half, isn't an AO?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like,
maybe like the cartoonishness versus
maybe.
But all she seems to just be fighting monsters,
right?
Really, more than anything else.
It's
I don't know.
Perplexing to me, but it's intrigued me.
But again, this is Korea. What was God of War 2 rated in Korea?
Yeah, I don't know.
So that's it.
That's a good point. Culturally, it could be different. But anyway, bottom line is, if you're excited for this game, it looks like it's going to push the boundaries a little bit.
Well, by Korean ratings board standard. Again, I don't know what that means.
Yeah,
like, I've seen a lot of Korean cinema. And they are not afraid to push the limit.
Yeah.
So
it's shocking to me, honestly. But anyway, this is a game that a lot of you guys are tracking, and we just want to keep you guys abreast of what's going on.
Mike, I see what you did there.
Mike, exactly. Nice pun. My guess is that if it is an AO, they will cut that stuff out to release it everywhere.
Well, the thing is, like, I think this might be one of those things where it's an AO in Korea, but it wouldn't be here.
Maybe. Yeah.
I think it's this feels like a Germany thing,
right?
You know, where it's like, oh, the blood has to be green or whatever. We'll see what the ESRB says. Unless there's actual explicit sex, you don't get an AO in America. That's it.
I don't get it.
Because there is no limit on violence.
No, definitely not.
Not
in America, games. That's for sure. You can't show boobs, though.
Look at that, the main bullet point right here, sitting by the barbecue.
You can show a boob if it's covered in blood, but you can't show a boob in America.
Yeah, well, that's what you can't. That's why I got an AO, because that vending machine looks so delicious.
So anyway, that's Stellar Blade. It is a PlayStation 5 exclusive. It is coming...
Dreamcatcher. Go fuck yourself.
It is coming this year. It is one of the quote-unquote big PlayStation 5 exclusives for 2024, so we shall see. But that's...
Beggars and choosers, as they say.
Yep. But that's the latest information on Stellar Blade. And then our last story for housekeeping, I told you we had a short housekeeping today, comes from Capcom. This week, Capcom asked a bunch of its fans if it was interested in reviving some of its old franchises. And Matt, I'm just going to run down these with you, and you tell me whether you think it's a good idea to revive these franchises or not. First up, Okami.
I mean, I would like it, but I don't know if it's a good business decision. I think Okami finally did well enough for itself over the course of like 3 re-releases in 2 generations.
Yeah, like 15 years of sales.
I mean, I love Okami, but it's like...
I think it would be a really bad business decision to make.
Zelda likes are hard sells anyway, and hard to make and expensive to make, and like I would love to see more Okami. Also, the Okami, the DS spin-off I didn't like.
Okami Den, yeah.
Like I'd be into it, but I don't think it's a very good business choice.
Yeah, I would love to play another Okami, but that's a tough sell to Gen Z. You're like, oh, this is a Zelda-like with calligraphy.
Yeah, I also kind of wonder what it would be, because this does follow like a couple of very well-known Japanese like mythology things, and I'm like, so would you just do a different mythology, or would you,
or do you expand on one, which is kind of against the rules?
Is it still Amaterasu? Yeah, especially because like like we don't really pick up on it because we're not as versed in the culture, but this is actually a really conservative game, culturally speaking, in Japan. Like this is a very Shinto focused, like kind of. It would be like if somebody made an ultra Catholic game here.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it'd be weird, like kind of archaic to some people. Be like, oh, I mean, it looks cool. Like you get to play as Saint Peter hacking people's heads off or whatever. You know, like. Yeah. But like, so I don't know. Like the climate might be different now too.
Noxatornitis says Gen Z can't play Okami because it's in cursive. That's funny. You know they don't teach cursive anymore.
No.
In school. They dropped writing in cursive.
It's funny because I don't write in cursive anymore, so that works out.
It does kind of work out. But I say I would love to play Okami. I think it would be a really dumb decision on Capcom's part to make another Okami.
Although, you know, maybe another like a remake, like remaster, like not remaster, but like because I don't know how much further you could push some of those textures. Yeah. But like a full rework of the game might be nice.
Or what if they handed it to one of their like smaller imprints like Grasshopper?
Yeah.
And let like a smaller studio build a smaller game maybe, then it might work. But like big budget AAA version of Okami.
No, like a Dragon's Dogma 2 approach wouldn't be a good idea.
Right.
This.
Yeah. But maybe something smaller. Mm-hmm. And I think there are a lot of people like us who resonate with the IP who've been playing games a long time. But Gen Z would just be like, what? What is this crap? Okay, next up. And I think I know the answer to this one, but Mega Man.
What Mega Man?
Mega Man. Not the spin-offs. Like Mega Man 12?
No.
No.
We don't need this vanilla Mega Man is over.
You think so?
We're good. If you're not making Mega Man Legends 3 or another Mega Man X, I don't really want to hear about it. They did like 12 of these. And they ran out of ideas on 5. Like we're fine. I don't think you need more Mega Man.
Well, this last one you can see it was built with polygons, but still played in 2D, and that didn't really seem to do a lot as far as drumming up sales.
I mean, I think your next move on this with this franchise is to do. I mean, I don't think 3D looks very good for with these, but I would do and going back to full NES level pixel art doesn't work, but I would do a Super Nintendo art style Mega Man X sequel. Like that, I think that's your next move.
Okay.
If you insist on bringing Mega Man back.
What about like the spin-offs, the Battle Network stuff?
I don't know. I don't know popular. I mean, they just did the Battle Network collection, so I assume they have some idea of what audience is out there for that, so they can make that decision on their own. I don't ever. I played Battle Network 1 and 2, I think, and that was the end of it. And the action-based one, whatever that was, 20 years ago.
Right.
Network transmission.
Right, yeah. There's Mega Man 64, remember that?
Oh, yeah. Well, that was just Mega Man Legends.
Yeah.
I like Legends. In fact, I would probably call The Misadventures of Tron the best PS1 game.
Very clunky.
Clunky, but you got it after a while.
Yeah.
Mega Man Legends 2 was much better about it. And Misadventures of Tron is one of the best things Capcom's ever made, which is just a spin-off with the villain, but it's very, very funny and just kind of it's a bunch of weird mini games and a kind of a side story, but it's great. And it's bonkers to me that they haven't made those games available in some kind of like Legends 1, 2, and Tron would be like, if you don't do that as a package, that would be my next Mega Man move, is put those out as a package.
Yep. Okay, and then
Misadventures of Tron goes for like $800 now.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
The Legends games are super valuable.
Wow. To check my catalog, my library, and see if I got one of those.
You got a sealed Mega Man Legends 2. You might have those overdraft fees covered.
No, definitely not. I wish.
Slab it, and then you can charge. $10,000 for no reason.
Yeah. And then the final franchise that Capcom brought up with fans is Dead Rising, which is Capcom's zombie game. Does Capcom need another zombie franchise?
Capcom certainly doesn't need this zombie franchise.
Yeah.
Dead Rising. I liked the first one okay. The second one was okay. The third one was a strange way to go, and certainly a weird choice for an Xbox launch title. 4 was kind of a rehab. And again, these games are on really weird, strict timers, and I hate that. And the old ones, like a lot of the bosses are like offensive stereotypes, even for the time.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of weird shit in those games, and I don't think it.
I don't miss it. I don't miss that franchise at all, honestly.
Yeah, I don't need more Dead Rising.
I played enough. It's like I got the novelty of it wore off in like the second one.
Yeah, Frank West was done in 2 games, basically. He has covered wars, but you should go back to doing that.
I forgot that whole angle of him being like a photojournalist.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. Like taking
like
the photos where he got most of your
mechanic.
fucking XP.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. How do you guys feel about these franchises? Are you guys interested in bringing them back?
They didn't mention the one that everybody keeps talking about.
Dino Crisis. Yeah. Because I think conveniently they know. But I think if you went and looked at the form, most people were like, Dino Crisis. Where the hell is it? Let's see what you guys are saying here. Let's bring you guys into the show again. Let's see. I like Star Gladiator. We guys are talking about Star Gladiator.
Yeah, as the first person to mention Star Gladiator in 20 years.
Farrowdoll says Darkstalkers or Leave Me Alone.
Yeah, well, now that Ono's gone, I don't think that's ever going to happen.
Yeah. Actually, the Retro Modern Gamer says that they did mention Dino Crisis. I must have missed that in the story that I read. Yeah. Mike's Q, thank you for Twitch Prime, brother. Fellow Central Pennsylvanian. Barry Lomax says Dead Rising was lightning in a bottle. Yeah, it kind of was. It was kind of this cool concept, and then it's like when I finished the game, I was like, I'm good. Eth Demon says that the Battle Network collection sold over 1 million copies. Yeah, it did very, very well. Yeah.
I mean, that really snuck in there as sort of a Pokemon-like. It wasn't like Pokemon, but it was like I think it scratched the same itch for kids of the same era who like didn't get finish that Pokemon game and didn't have anything else to play till the next Pokemon game.
Yeah.
I mean, they styled them after that with eventually with the 2 different colors of each release with 3 moving on. I think.
Mm-hmm. Rock and Roll 458 says Dead Rising similar to the first one in tone and Dino Crisis, and they will print money. So we disagree on Dead Rising there, but the last one did not do very well at all. Wasn't it an Xbox One exclusive?
That was 3.
Yeah,
the Xbox One launch title was 3. Yeah, and it actually wasn't bad. It
wasn't good either.
It wasn't very appealing to most people. It was a pretty good way to show that you could move hordes of zombies around with the new hardware, but like it wasn't any kind of breakout thing.
Yeah. Dante's Inferno. That was an EA game. Dante's Inferno.
I think that was in reference to what story to do for Okami.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I guess that would kind of work.
Yeah.
With a dog.
Well, I see mute the B-roll messages. I figured it out eventually. That's one problem with me hosting a show and running the TriCasters. It takes me a beat or two to notice stuff like that. Anything else? I voted for a Breath of Fire remake, Congram 1 says. That's a franchise that has been MIA for a long time.
Yeah, I think the last one of those was on the PS2.
Yeah, it's been a while. And then Mike's Q agreed that Mega Man should go away.
I think Capcom just doesn't make RPGs.
That's a good point. It hardly does. You're right, man. Like, they hardly ever make any RPGs. Dragon's Dogma, obviously, the exception, but...
Yeah, I mean, that's an action RPG, though. Like, they don't make straight-up JRPG, like...
You're right.
Nonsense Breath of Fire.
And that was a big part of their business back in the day.
They had more of them, yeah.
Yeah.
Series I'd like to see come back is Maximo.
Yeah. That was, like, really hard.
Very hard.
But you know what? That might appeal to a group of people now that it didn't before.
Man, take Maximo and make a Dark Souls game with it.
Right.
Bingo.
Done.
Like give it the Ghosts and Goblins sort of like references here and there. Like done.
It would do well. Yeah, for sure. They might. We'll see. But anyway, if you're a Capcom fan, those are kind of your options that are on the table. Of all of those, which one do you think is most likely for Capcom to revive?
I think Dino Crisis.
Me too. Because it's just the one that everybody asks for.
Yeah.
Constantly. Like
dinosaurs are still hot. Like
everyone
likes dinosaurs.
There's a new 4-year-old kid every day.
Yeah, dinosaurs never go out of style. So
yeah, I would agree with that. Probably Dino Crisis. And that's going to do it for our housekeeping. I told you it's going to be shorter today because we got games to get to. But before we do that, here is a word from our sponsor, the awesome LS Cream. LS Cream is a fine cream liqueur created by fellow gamer and sifter Stevens Charles. It's inspired by an ancestral recipe from Haiti called Cray Mass, and a double gold winner for its original taste at the New York Wine and Spirit International Competition. LS Cream can be enjoyed on the rocks or as a mixer for drinks with its rich blend of fresh cream and neutral grain spirits with notes of coconut, vanilla, cinnamon, and nutmeg. It's great in coffee or to make espresso martinis. To learn more, discover amazing drink recipes, or to track down your own bottle using a handy store locator, head to creamls.com/sifted. That's creamls.com/sifted. That's right. Get your cream-ass ass to creamls.com/sifted. And head over there. There's awesome drink recipes. All those drinks that you see in that ad, you can make them very easy. I know they look crazy complicated. They're not that complicated. Head on over. Also, by the way,
the complicated part is making them look that good.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but they still taste pretty damn
like the
good.
whipped cream isn't doing the thing. It's,
you just mix it up and just chug it.
Yeah. Tastes the same. It tastes the same.
Yeah. Well, we're 2 days away from Valentine's Day. I know I talked about this last week. Cream LS is a great drink for Valentine's Day. It takes the edge off a little bit if you're going on a first date or you're meeting a girl for the first time or a guy for the first time. Take the edge off with a drink that's not going to make you drunk.
Valentine's Day, you are a brave person.
Going on a first date on Valentine's Day? I've done it.
Bold.
I've done it.
Just getting the reservation. I mean, at least you're proving you're a resourceful person.
Well, I think the thing is for Valentine's Day, people get brave. Because it's like this, a lot of people think the Lonely Hearts Club, I don't want to be a part of that again this year or whatever. And I think it engenders, like, I don't know, I feel like people are more willing to ask people out if Valentine's Day is there.
I don't know, I just focus on me.
Yeah.
It's my day.
There's been a couple times in my life, actually, where I was, like, into a girl, and I didn't have the guts to ask her out until Valentine's Day was coming up. And then I asked her out. So
I never did that.
No.
I was always just like, it's my birthday. Who cares about the Hallmark holiday? How
do you like having your birthday on Valentine's Day? And by the way, you guys should probably wish Matt a happy birthday right now.
I like it. Like it's a holiday and it's notable and everybody knows it and everybody remembers the day, but it's not a holiday that anyone cares about enough to like overshadow my birthday. Like no one's gonna pick Valentine's Day over me most of the time, right? So yeah, I think it works. It's just the right level of, you know, it's not like having to explain what, like being born on Arbor Day is like that doesn't get you anything.
No, that's definitely not going to get you anywhere.
But
that's funny, dude.
It's good. My whole life, you tell a girl that you know that when my birthday is, she's like, "Oh, Valentine's, baby." I'm like, every time. Like,
hey, it works every time. Yeah. So anyway,
that's all it does. Doesn't get me any further than that. But it's just like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Anyway, everyone's wishing you a happy birthday, Matt, in the chat, which is awesome. Not surprised by that at all. Happy birthday, my brother.
Thank you.
And I hope you have an awesome day. And yeah, are you going out on Valentine's Day at all?
I know, no.
Not happening.
Not in this town. Are you kidding?
It is insane, man. Like this town shuts down on Valentine's Day. It's the worst traffic day in LA of the year.
Period.
Every year.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. Worse than any other holiday. It's
like
really
I don't
crazy.
forget going out for dinner. I don't go out at all.
Yeah, I don't
like,
leave.
You don't go anywhere.
I sit and like look on my deck and look at the traffic.
Like that's why I have the party like on the weekend before or whatever, because it's like I'm not going to ask anybody to drive out to my house on like Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Like especially during a work. So it's a work day. It's middle of the week, and now you got to leave work and drive all the way across LA to get to my house.
Yeah.
And like in Valentine's Day traffic at dinner time, it's like no one needs to do that.
No thanks. So. Yep. Well, I hope you guys do have an awesome Valentine's Day, and if you don't have a significant other, I hope that you find one. But Cream LS Cream is a good way to grease the wheels on any Valentine's date, even if you're with your significant other, just going out for a good time, to have a good dinner or something like that. It's much easier to do in other places. Like when I lived in Central Pennsylvania, Valentine's Day wasn't a problem. It was like any other day.
Up north. Even up in San Francisco back in the day, it wasn't that. But now it probably is.
It probably is.
It's probably bad.
Yep. So anyway, go to creamls.com/sifted. You can figure out where to buy it online there. You can figure out stores that are local to you where you can pick it up. Support LS Cream. They support us. And with that, it's time to kick off GameFace 376 proper.
Someone also mentioned Lost Planet. That's another one I'm surprised they haven't repackaged somehow.
That was another one where I played the first game, and I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. And then the second one, not quite as good, and I kind of lost interest in it.
Well, the second one, they started forcing co-op into it. And the third one, it was almost a Dead Space situation.
All over again, yeah.
Like, no, this wasn't why that first one was good.
No, and why people cared.
The third one, you basically had to play with somebody else or it didn't work right. Sort of like Resident Evil 5.
Yeah.
And it was just like, that was that weird period they had where like everything had to have an online component or or they're afraid people were going to sell it back to GameStop.
Yeah. Now they pray
now you can't find a GameStop, so you're fine.
Exactly. Yep. So anyway, we're going to kick off the show proper today with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. As you know, there was a state of play just for this game. It was happening basically during GameFace last week.
Yeah.
And then the big announcement, as we also talked about on last week's show, is that they shadow dropped a demo of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now, full disclosure, I have review code for this game already. but I had to be
the opposite of Suicide Squad.
Yeah. So I ended up playing the demo anyway because I wasn't sure where the demo was placed in the game.
Feels like the demo is pretty early, but not
the
super
beginning.
early.
Yeah. So anyway, I am playing the final version of the game, but I also played this demo. I'm assuming a lot of you guys downloaded and played it as well. Matt did as well. We finally got our hands on this game. Matt, what are your sort of top level opinions on this game?
Yep, that's another one of these. It's very similar to the last one, like as it should be. You know, there's still a lot of shimmying. The combat system seems pretty unchanged. It's gorgeous.
It is pretty. Yeah.
The music's great.
Yes, it is.
The voice acting is better. Like there's a lot less anime grunting, and
there's still some.
There's some, but it feels a lot more naturalistic. Cloud feels like he controls a little smoother. Like he's not quite as stop and go and herky jerky, especially when you try to slice some boxes. It doesn't feel like you have to stop while he puts the sword away quite so much. Like it gets you back on track quicker. So a little quality of life things like that.
What is up with the deep knee bends?
That's just something he does.
I know, it's just so weird.
He did it in the original too. I think someone just thought the little chibi character model looked funny doing that.
Yeah, it's so funny that they brought it into these
and
modern
Sephiroth's
games.
Like, don't.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Credit where credit's due. Like they do a good job. The demo is the flashback to Nibelheim when where Sephiroth goes crazy and the one mission that Cloud went on with him. He's telling the story to everybody else once they've gotten out of Midgar after the end of the last game. In this it's cozy little inn they're in or whatever. And it's actually pretty funny because periodically it'll get interrupted by one of the characters and like they're like, wait, this happened? He's like, yeah, I'm getting to that. Hang on. Yeah. Which is there's some personality there that I think was really there before outside of Barrett. But I think they do a pretty good job of making Sephiroth like a likable character in this before he makes his turn, which is something that just did not exist before.
No, you're right.
Like you understand why he's kind of a hero worshipped by all these people. He's got like a sense of humor and he's kind of got the stoic badass thing, but he knows when to like, when they get back, because the town they're going back to is Nibelheim. It's Cloud's hometown, and like they come back in and everybody sees Cloud as sort of this returning hero thing, and Sephiroth's just like, consider yourself off duty until sundown, and like kind of grins at him because he knows he wants to go poke around and see his people he grew up with. And, like he's a human for the first time. Like Sephiroth has always been sort of this like weird ass like villain with wings and a choir backing him up, and now it's sort of it's like, oh, okay, I see why like kind of one of the fundamental. This is a funny scene though, because when he gets to the end of the water tower here, he sits down, and you want to see like a medium shot of him sitting down in this water tower he used to sit at with Tifa and sort of contemplating his return. But they can't show that because the sword is going to clip through the ground.
Right,
so it's all these like really close frames of him just looking at things that you can't see from his perspective. And it's like, and then he gets back up because they're like, oh, you just didn't want to animate him because they do animate him lifting the sword to sit on the benches. But they didn't want to do it for this, I guess, because it was too hard for a single shot. So you kind of ruin that moment like cinematically because his stupid sword is in the way, which I thought was pretty funny. It's one of the prices they pay for bringing this into the hyper real sort of graphical fidelity that they decided to go for this, which is why it's extra funny that sometimes they do the weird anime poses and it just doesn't work. And although they're getting better, like this scene is actually done with a lot of kind of like classic anime martial arts master tropes. Yeah, and they actually make it work pretty well.
They do.
That scene actually works pretty well because they are capturing it but not making the guy do things that a normal human doesn't do.
I feel like most of the scenes honestly have been improved.
It's improved. Tifa is still in her cowboy outfit is still doing a lot of harem anime poses like that. And like that's the other thing that I really don't like is they're still doing the thing where when they have a little conversation interchanges, they do these shots where like especially Tifa is talking straight to the camera. Yeah. Because you're supposed to be Cloud, or it's supposed to be like, oh, my waifu is talking directly to me. It's like a fan service thing. It's like, just tell the fucking story. Stop it. Like, you're so close to actually competence on this, and you keep doing that and pulling me out of it. It's really dumb.
But I do think it's a vast improvement over the original Final Fantasy.
In terms of that
set.
presentation so far,
All
yes.
I mean, all the little vignettes and stories that were told in this demo, like meeting his mom for the first time in 2 years. Like,
or did he?
Right.
Like there's a lot of they're playing. There's a lot of playing with the and I couldn't tell if that was because he's glossing over it when he's telling them this, or if that never happened. Because there's a lot of Cloud's backstory that is either a lie on his part or something he was convinced of and doesn't realize isn't true. But then we don't even know how much of that still holds in this because the timeline is different, and it's not a direct retelling of the original game. It's a different version of things, as the end of the previous game showed.
Yeah, I mean, we had kind
which
of
at least keeps it interesting in that regard, I guess.
It seemed like we had heard that this was going to stray further away from the, but I don't get that vibe playing this so far.
Well,
it is just a 2-hour demo.
This is backstory.
Yeah,
this has already happened.
Yeah, this is all told in a flashback, by the way. If you haven't played the demo,
and it's told in a flashback in
the real game. Yeah,
you don't play as much.
5 years earlier. Yeah. But I think that the way that they do it, you're right. It helps build this relationship with Sephiroth before he does the heel turn. Yeah,
it makes the Sephiroth situation click a little better. Even like the way Cloud reacts to thinking he saw him in the previous game, which was a little weird before. But again, that kind of speaks to how poorly the relationship between Cloud and Sephiroth is drawn in the original Final Fantasy VII. And some of that might be translation. Like a lot of my criticisms of Final Fantasy VII, the original Final Fantasy VII, I am entirely willing to accept are because the English translation was garbage, which it was.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
But kind of par for the course. This guy are sick, after all. But the main thing for me on this is I still don't really think the combat's very engaging.
It's weird. So it took me a long time to...
There's shimmying, your favorite part of all the Final Fantasy
I made
games.
sure to include it in the B-roll.
A lot of this, I don't know why. Clearly you don't need it on the PS5, but they still fucking do it.
Yeah. The combat, to me, it was very hard for me to train myself to not hit the X button. Because the X brings up your commands, where it slows down time, and then you can... It almost turns into like...
I also felt the guarding and parry stuff was weird. Like, the timing on that is bizarre.
It's hard. I thought it was hard to time
Well, it didn't feel like the same... I mean, it doesn't have to be the same as all the other games I play with that kind of system, but it isn't. Like, my parry reflexes are built for stuff like Sekiro and that kind of... and Dark Souls and sort of thing. And I was doing everything to last second. Like I was hitting it too late because he needs time to animate.
Right.
And so I had to start doing it earlier, which to me feels easier. Like, because From Software wants you to hit that button at the last possible fucking instant.
Right, yeah.
And in this one, it's like, oh no, it's pretty much as soon as you see him wind up with the red.
There's a bigger window. Yeah.
And that took me a while to get used to. I mean, which is on me, I guess, for playing those games and expecting this to demand that level of skill. But then when you talk about the actual combos, like, I still can't quite figure out how it quite works. And I know I've seen the videos where people just do all these crazy things and stuff, and I'm like, I don't know how you get to that. And I don't really have the interest in learning.
So for those of you who maybe didn't play the first remake and don't know how the combat works,
these riveting sequences where you move a vacuum cleaner around, just top level
ecological angle in this. I didn't remember that from the first game.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd forgotten about that.
Oh yeah, I mean that was the planet's dying, Cloud. That's one of Barrett's first lines in the.
Well, that's what this is. They're like, oh, you need to sweep up that waste or whatever.
Sweep up the Mako dust so the the security elevators will open, and I'm just like, this is your mini game. All right.
Well, for those of you who don't know how the combat works, the square button is like your hack and slash button. And basically what you do is you build up your meters using the square button to slash away. Once you build up those meters, it opens up extra options in that menu. So at any time you can tap X, and in the bottom left-hand side of the screen, it'll bring up a menu that you can select with the D-pad. And like, it has like extra sword attacks there. It has magical spells there. There's items there so you can heal yourself if you want to. And as you start building up your meters, it starts giving you new options in combat, like crazy over-the-top attacks you can do, team-up attacks that you can do with other characters, crazy finishers. But much like you, Matt, I have still not quite... I'm actually going to take down our lower third there so you can see what I'm talking about here. See in the bottom left there, I'm selecting, like, right now it's like one of his special attacks. But I'm like with you, Matt, I still don't understand 100%, like, what my hacking and slashing with Square, where those meters are that fill up to let me know that I'm ready to pull this stuff off.
Some of it's in the lower right corner, but some of that's also time-based, not combo-based.
Yeah.
And like I don't, and like my other thing is like it doesn't really feel much like I'm hitting anything. Much like there doesn't. I don't get a lot of feedback from this combat system.
I agree.
Sometimes you do. Like sometimes when you're in operator mode with Cloud, it really feels like you're connecting with them when you're hitting them, and he's jumping around and doing this and doing like the combos in that mode. But like with Sephiroth, I never really felt like I was contacting anything when I was swinging. I mean, maybe that's just how powerful he is. I don't know, but like. It's not, to me, it's just not a satisfying combat system, and I constantly feel like I wish they just made a turn-based RPG out of it.
Yeah.
Like, they just straight up done that.
I think one thing you have to realize right away is that you're not going to get by just hacking and slashing.
No.
That's not enough. Like, if you do that, if you look at the
You
health
definitely can't
meters,
beat the first, like, little mini-boss you run into.
Yeah. If you look at the health meters, you're hardly doing anything. Like, you're really just using that hacking and slashing to build up the meters to do your bigger, more powerful attacks.
You want to do the stagger like every other fucking action game in ever come out of Japan in the last 5 years.
Staggers are big.
Do the stagger, and then once you get the stagger, if you're still just using the square button combos when they're staggered, you're completely wasting the stagger. That's the whole point. Like, use the square stuff to dodge around and get the stagger, and then unload the triangle button stuff and the special abilities, and that's how you win.
There's another ability in this too where you can hold R1, your block, and then hit either a triangle or square, and you do these crazy like tandem team up attacks as well. And I didn't discover that until really late into the demo. So I agree with you. The combat is a little awkward, but I do think that like once you start to learn the ins and outs of it, it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I find it boring.
Yeah,
and especially because like I don't care about the the enemies are just big bugs and so, like it feels very. I know that's what Final Fantasy is, but it's like it feels so incongruent with the rest of the game. It's like just these people walking around in these like fucking goth club outfits and farmer outfits, but there's like giant monsters outside the town and they look like they're out of a completely different manga or something. Like none of it really matches up well. Like
you definitely have to suspend disbelief.
Yeah, and just and there's the bullet sponge problem where it's like this is the first mini boss run into.
Yeah.
But it's like, why does this bird take 4 billion hits from a giant sword to die? Like, it's just, I know it's magic and it's fantasy, it's an RPG, but it's just like there's a point at which I just get tired of it. Like,
they have to leave the headroom.
Halfway through this fight, I'm just like, can I just move on, please? I know what I'm doing to kill it, but I know I'm going to kill it, but I just have to go through this, and it's just like, stop.
Well, they have to, the reason there's so many hit points is because they have to leave the headroom for the crazy over-the-top attacks.
Right.
Like, they have to have hit points for you to take off with those attacks. To take off 2,000 hit points or whatever.
But it's just like, that's what it feels so needless to me. It's like, okay, so I get to see Sephiroth do his downward
the needless
stab
part
thing,
to me is the hacking and slashing part of it.
Yeah, well, it's like one or the other.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're sort of left with like, well, why don't you just make the fucking turn-based combat system it started with?
Yeah.
Like, just do ATB and, I know there's the classic mode, but it doesn't really work very well.
It's not the same.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just, it's as James Cameron said about Alien 3, it's not how I would have done it.
Well, the one thing I will say,
and it's hampered by the fact that it's just Kingdom Hearts.
But my point is like it's unique, and I like to try new combat systems every once in a while. But I wouldn't want to have this combat system all the time.
No, it's just like, and I find that
once every 5 or 6 years is okay.
But I really do mean it when I say this is just Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah,
like it's real time combat with needless systems piled on top of it, and you have to navigate a menu in the middle of your fight sometimes. Yeah. And that's just sort of a square thing. I mean, they kind of did that in 16 too, but 16 handled it better.
Way better, yeah.
Also, I cared what happened in 16. So,
yeah.
Which helped.
I do wonder if the story.
Every time I get close to caring about anything that happens in Final Fantasy VII, it just it undermines itself again, and I'm just like, oh no, I don't. Like, there's a point at which I'm just constantly reminded that this is for like 14-year-olds.
Yeah.
It feels like watching like an old cartoon. And I realize that it's not for me in that regard. It's in the same way that I can go back and watch like the old 80s Transformers cartoon and be like, this is dumb.
Yeah.
Like, this is really bad. but I enjoy it because I was 10.
Right. And when I was in the 5th or 6th grade.
Yeah. And if you were 12 when Final Fantasy VII came out, this must be amazing.
Yeah.
To see all this stuff done up with this kind of budget and fidelity and quality and like, a 3-game epic adaptation. I mean, that must be amazing.
Yeah.
But that ain't me. I was 22, and I thought it was dumb then, and I think it's dumb now.
But as Matt was saying, the object really is to stagger enemies, to drop them down and then unload. And those abilities I was talking about earlier, those cooperative abilities where you hold the R1, I just saw in the menu they're called synergy abilities. And I honestly think a lot of being good at this, Matt, is being able to keep one of your eyes in that bottom left corner to see when the stuff comes online so you can fire it off. Like,
yeah, I mean, there are audio cues for it. But
I'm sure there
sometimes
are.
you can't quite hear
but
it.
But it's insane. Even with the music turned off, there's so much crap going on that you're not going to hear a little shing or whatever that is supposed to tell you that you have this attack online or whatever. Maybe after you're 30 or 40 hours in, your brain will start tuning in to hear that sound. But playing this demo for 2 hours, it was just like oblivious to me. Like, I didn't hear it at all. So, and I'm sure you're right. I'm sure there are audio cues. I didn't notice them. So I just kept looking down at that corner to see if new stuff would come online in the menu, and I would just hit X and select it. And that's how I defeated the biggest bosses in the game. I did have fun playing this. And again, the demo's there still. You can still go download it. It's obviously PS5 only because that's the only platform this game is coming to. But it's there. It's a 2-hour demo. And I do wonder if people who don't know much about Final Fantasy VII or didn't play the first remake, like, if they're going to be like...
They don't even know this exists.
Oh, the demo, you don't think?
Probably not. It's not being pushed very hard.
It's not, actually. I had to kind of dig to find it.
You have to go basically to the game page for this and then pick the demo. Mm-hmm. Like, you
have to hit, like, the little ellipses thing.
Yeah, I never saw it on the front page thing or anything.
Yeah, it never showed up in my dashboard on my PS5.
It's for fans. Like, this is all... I mean, the other reason this is the demo... it's the demo because the Nibelheim flashback is famous. It's like a fan... You know, and it ends with Sephiroth doing the famous thing in the... turning in the fire and now he's a villain kind of thing.
There's a whole scene with Cloud and Tifa, like the windmill.
Right. But
and he kind of teases that a little bit.
This is the second most famous shot in Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, yeah.
And
and we know what the most popular is, and we're not going to spoil that. But
you're not going to spoil your 25-year-old game.
Spoiler.
Work.
Would it be crazy if they changed the outcome of that scene?
That's a good question. I mean, that's the most obvious. If you're going to do a different world, the obvious thing would be to kill somebody else. Right?
Yeah. Right. And we know who that would probably be, too.
You want to really throw a curve on it, kill Red 13.
Yeah, exactly.
What? Wait a minute.
Something that nobody would care about. That would be a throwaway, basically.
People would care. Not as much.
Not as much.
Because they don't want to fuck him. But well, not everyone. Some people probably do. That was the other weird thing is one of the clips they put out. I mean, everyone was focusing on the fact that Tifa and Aerith are in bikinis or whatever. But when Red 13 sees them, he forgets to put on his Red 13 voice.
Oh.
And goes, huh? So Red 13 has a much higher... Red 13's like a kid.
That's funny.
Like, I'm like, that feels like you're going to need to get into that later. Red 13 goes like, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, very nice. It's just like, so like, he's the cat equivalent of like two kids in a trench coat.
Yeah.
Is what's happening there. Or something like that. That's what I got out of that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. A lot of it feels like the same game to me, just in the woods instead of in the city.
But there's still like areas of this where you're inside these metal complexes and it's all like gangways and ladders and steel grating and like that's what turned me off from the first remake. I got so sick of being inside steel bases where everything looked the frickin' same. Like it just wore me down to where I didn't want to play it anymore. This, you're right, does have a lot more outside settings, it appears, but it still takes you into those facilities that look very much like the first remake. Mm-hmm. So
I mean, Shinra buildings are going to look like Shinra buildings, I guess.
Yeah.
The rustic stuff in the village is better, but again, there's some quality of this where like it constantly feels like Cloud's too big or the camera's too close or it's not close enough. Like I never quite feel connected to what's happening on the screen. Like when I'm moving him around, just even in the inn and going up the stairs, I'm like, why does this feel so weird? Like it feels weird and slippery and
there are camera issues with the combat. There were total camera issues.
Zack still being alive is very interesting.
Yeah. But the camera gets caught behind objects sometimes. Like again, that's a lot of stuff that they can fix last minute and kind of clean up in the last like home stretch of the game, but at this point, we're, 2 weeks away from the game's release? A lot of that stuff isn't getting cleaned up.
Here it is. Here's the shot. Like when they come in, he goes, huh? Oh, yeah.
That's funny.
I mean, it seems more interesting just in the sense that there's a lot more variety in where you'll be going, and him being able to climb up a little thing. You know, he's a lot more. He doesn't feel like you're stuck in very distinct like cattle chutes anymore. You can climb up over rocks and look at things.
A little bit more freedom.
but although again, when you get to the village and they're like explore the village, it's all empty. Like there's
nothing to explore.
There's like 2 treasure chests and some boxes, and everything else just a dead end. And
yeah, I was like, what am I supposed to be exploring
so
here?
Empty. Like if this was any other game, people be whining about how empty this open world is or whatever.
Yeah.
But because it's Final Fantasy VII, this is the most brilliant thing ever made.
Yeah.
So it's. Bleh.
I actually enjoyed my time with this.
It's a minor improvement over the previous one, I would say, but like I'm not looking forward to this. I'm not.
My big question is like the staying power. Like how much staying power is there actually? Like I don't know. Like I don't know if I'm.
I'm not going to finish this game. I'll tell you that right now.
I mean,
I will never
like
finish
50 or 60 hours.
I will never finish Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Yeah.
Never. Like there's not a chance in hell. Like I can't
and
imagine.
You go back and play old games and finish them off a good bit. You do go back and play games,
but I would never go back and play remake.
The first one, no way.
No, like why?
We'll see how far. I mean, I think I played the first one for maybe like 18 hours or 20 hours or something before I burned out.
I think I made it 8 or 9. Like
yeah,
it was.
So I'm just gonna see if I'll make it further in this one. I'm glad I got a head start because it does sound like the game is gigantic. So it's kind of this game that I'm gonna be playing for the next like 2 or 3 weeks.
Does the save on this carry over?
On the demo, I don't think it does.
Because it looks like you start in the game. Like,
I don't even know 100% because I started playing the review build before I played the demo. So I don't even know how that would work, honestly.
Yeah, that wouldn't.
Because you kind of needed the demo save there first when you boot up the final version, so it creates that hook between the two to connect. So I don't know. Maybe chat knows if it carries over. I don't know. Vincent says if you play through the flashback, you won't have to play it in the full game. Okay. So you do end up saving yourself a couple hours there, which is nice.
Yeah.
Instead of having to play it all over
Unless
again.
you get to keep the stuff you pick up. I don't know.
Yeah, how does that work?
I don't know. You know what? I don't care.
That is interesting to think about, though, how that's all going to work. But anyway, again, that demo's out there. You guys can all play it for yourselves right now if you have a PlayStation 5. I did enjoy it, but I enjoyed the first remake at first, and then as it wore on, I enjoyed it less and less. So we'll see if that happens with this one, but I don't know. I fully admit I did enjoy the 2 hours I spent with it, and I thought that it was better than the original Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess. I mean, the original Final Fantasy VII, that section's over in like 10 minutes.
It is, yeah.
So that's a bonus.
But it matters, because as you said, to start this whole conversation, it builds like this bond with Sephiroth. It's going to make things later on much more difficult.
I think the 30 minutes of cinematics that do that, fine. I didn't need the hour and a half of endless hack and slash garbage.
The sad truth, though, is that's the way the whole game is going to be.
Yeah, I know, which is not like what I want. Even from if it was a Final Fantasy RPG I liked that was being remade, I wouldn't want it to be like that. Like, that's not interesting. I'm so over the character action, like, masturbatory endless combo shit. Like, I don't know how to express in any other different ways how much I do not want to hack and slash at a thing to make a bar go up so it falls over, and then I can hack and slash
and do all the fun stuff
and do more damage to it until that stops, and I have to hack and slash it again to make the bar go back up so I can actually hurt it again. I don't ever want to do that again.
Yeah.
Ever. I don't care if it's Final Fantasy or Devil May Cry or Stellar Blade or whatever other, or FromSoft, anything. I'm done with it. No more stagger meters. Stop it.
Yeah.
Like, it's boring.
But that is not going to end.
No, it's not, because that's just how it is.
I hate to break it to you, but it's not going to end.
But good news is that I don't have to play that shit.
That's true.
So again, believe me, if we weren't doing this show, I would never touch this thing.
You wouldn't play it at all.
I wouldn't even download the demo.
Wow.
It's not for me. It's not it's not for me.
Yeah.
Y'all don't even know why anybody cares what I think about this. It's not for me.
Yeah, I think people would know.
I can tell you what. I can give you my fucking day of Final Fantasy art show review right now. I fucking hate it. I fucking hate this. I would probably watch the movie just to see I'm interested in how they take what was basically a rudimentary cartoon in 1997 with characters that have no hands or faces and translate it into a hyper-real cinematic experience. Like, that's interesting to me just as a creative exercise.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily like what they do with it a lot of the time, but I think that's interesting, even just from a perspective like, is that what was supposed to be happening in that scene back then? That I couldn't tell what those little, like, four polygon character models were trying to do? You know, like, that's interesting to me.
Yeah.
But I don't want to want to play it. Like, I would maybe watch somebody play it, you know?
Yeah.
But I also don't want to watch a stream because I don't care about a stranger. If I had a friend who was really good at it, who could get through it in like a timely manner, and I could just sit and watch it, I might do that.
Yeah, I'm sure you can find somebody on YouTube that'll.
Yeah, I'll just watch the cutscenes on YouTube. Is probably what I'll end up doing.
Well, the other thing, Matt, is that the first like hour of this demo, I think there's like one combat section that lasts for like 5 minutes, and the rest is just sitting and just watching cinematics. For the first like hour.
Yeah, a good chunk of it is well, I mean, it's not just that. I mean, a lot of it's wandering around, but there's no fighting.
Yeah.
I would say there's about 20 to 30 minutes of cinematic, 20 to 30 minutes of wandering,
and then 5 minutes of combat.
No, more like an hour of combat.
I mean, in the first hour.
Oh, in the first hour? Yeah, I mean, you don't fight anything.
The second hour is almost all combat, really.
Yeah. Once they let you loose on the mountain, it's just and Sephiroth's like, okay, Cloud, go hit things. Like, because there's that first fight at the very beginning, and then you lose, and Sephiroth just does it himself, which is fine.
Yeah.
It's a little moment to show how powerful he is.
Yeah.
And then you got there is a moment where like one of the soldiers you're with, because you got two random nameless soldiers, and one of them dies when that bridge falls.
Oh, right, yeah.
And everyone kind of stands there like, oh, and he's like, his fate is his own now. I'm like, he didn't even name him. Like, who gives a shit? Like, come on, guys.
I kept thinking that he was going to show up again, like later on, like during one of the big battles, and like come in and deliver the final blow on the mini boss.
No, he's a no-name.
No, he's just down the river now.
He's dead at the bottom of a waterfall somewhere. We don't care.
It's hilarious.
Until Final Fantasy Rebirth Integrate. Oh, maybe he's the guy on the motorcycle who wasn't in the original game. You remember that guy? Maybe that's him.
That's funny.
He's just pissed that everybody
the
abandoned
ultimate
him.
Callback.
Yeah, that's my prediction. That's the guy. That's the guy on a motorcycle whose name I can't remember, who's like out for revenge because you abandoned him at the waterfall.
Well, that's great. So anyway, that's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. The crazy part is this game comes out on Leap Year Day. It comes out on February 29th.
Oh, Silk Snake also makes a good point. The best thing in this demo is the piano.
I didn't even see it.
Yeah, in the inn, if you sit at the piano, you can fully play the piano. Like
I missed that
with like the analog sticks. People have been playing doing like full like piano concerts with it.
I completely missed that.
It's really neat.
Huh.
It's like the guitar in Last of Us.
Oh,
it's
cool.
like you can really manipulate it to play real music.
I missed it. That's cool though that I missed something like that though. Mm-hmm. It kind of shows that there's little things hidden in the game.
That is cool. I don't know what.
I hope there's more.
I don't know why
like
it's in here.
Yeah.
But it's like it's interesting that they put something that probably it is prompted by Last of Us.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure that was the inspiration. And B, it's interesting that Cloud can play the piano.
Yeah.
Like that. If you can do it, like he can do it.
Let's see what you guys are saying about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. See if you guys have been playing the demo. Threadzilla says the Platinum Trophy was a grind. Side quests left a lot to be desired. You guys are talking about the first remake, I guess. Mm-hmm. Big Smoke 82. I'm with Matt. I'll watch a playthrough on YouTube. Noxator says Final Fantasy 16 was my first.
And only Final Fantasy game that I liked.
Oh, that I liked, not that he played. Okay, Final Fantasy 16 was great.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 16 made it hard to go back and play Final Fantasy VII Remake. It sure does.
Yes, it does. Yep. Fire Native. I want a PS5 Pro so they can push more 4K 120 frames per second and more ray tracing. I don't have a PS5 Pro. Okay, not PS4 Pro. Freudian slip there.
Yeah, nothing's going to get 120 frames per second on a console. And no one's ever going to target that.
You know, Vincent's asking if we watched the movie for Remake. I did not, actually. There was like a story so far thing that you can watch in the demo.
Yeah, I didn't. I had other things.
I remembered enough.
I knew enough. Yeah, I was there. I was there 3,000 years ago, Gandalf, when the strength of humanity fell, and we made another Final Fantasy game.
Cinetype says, what's more impactful and convincing for playing the full game? Final Fantasy 16 demo or Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth demo? Oh, 16 all the way. All the way, for sure. I mean, but that's us, you know?
The Rebirth demo is fan service.
Yeah.
They specifically chose this part because the fans know it, and it has Sephiroth and has that shot in it.
It also shows how they expanded a part of the original game that was very small.
As a representation of how they're approaching the remake, I think it's actually a pretty good vertical slice.
Yeah. See what else we got there. Big Smoke. I like the technology in these remakes as we have finally surpassed the FMV sequences of the original. Yeah, that's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair,
the presentation in this is great.
Yeah,
there's no
to be fair, we surpassed that
a while ago,
like 10 years ago. Go back and look at those cinematics again; they're awful.
Yeah, Cinetype. Is there a 60 frames per second mode? So I chose, and as I always do, the quality mode. I didn't choose.
I chose what I didn't choose it. It was whatever was default.
The default was the quality, so higher frame rate. Yeah, but I don't know if it's 60 or not.
The quality would be graphics.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the one I chose. So you chose the default one is the high frame rate version.
Is it?
The performance? Yeah.
It didn't feel like it.
Well, there you go. Well, that was my question. Does it run at 60?
Sure, it doesn't
Probably
default
not.
at quality. I felt like
Yeah, because I changed it to quality. I went into the menus and I changed the display to the better looking one instead of the frame rate version. Let's see if we got maybe one more comment here. Everyone talking about their experiences with the original Final Fantasy VII. That looks like that's it. Okay. Again, this game comes out on Leap Year Day, February 29th. How many years are there between leap years?
4.
I forgot. Is it 4? Mm-hmm. So every 4 years there's a February 29th.
Yeah.
It's pretty clever.
The last time was 2020.
Oh, really?
It was a leap year, and the Chiefs beat the 49ers.
Oh, wow.
And Trump was running against Biden in an election.
It's all repeating.
And the world shut down in March. What's going to happen?
Yeah, nothing's going to happen, man. So anyway, there you go. This Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Again, a PlayStation 5 exclusive. I think eventually it'll probably come to PC, maybe Xbox eventually. It seems like Square usually signs like a 6-month exclusivity period with PlayStation.
Yeah, what did Integrate or whatever that was?
Yeah.
Came to PC or whatever?
I think it did.
Or was it just the regular remake?
I think it may have just been the base game. I'm not sure. I think Integrate may have remained an exclusive.
Is it?
Yeah.
I also if you
I'm not 100%
until I think the 28th, if you get the twin pack of this on PlayStation, the $89.99 one, you get remake Integrate or whatever it is for free. Mm-hmm. After that, it goes up to like $140 for the pack or something.
Right. Yeah.
That's a pretty damn good deal if you don't have it. You know,
yeah, for sure. Yep. And we'll be covering this. I don't know if I'm allowed to say when the embargo is, but I think I might be able to say that we'll cover this in 2 episodes from now. I think that's right. But we'll have it as close to embargo as possible because, again, as I mentioned earlier, I have early review code and I'm playing the full game right now. Okay, let's move on, Matt Kyle. We're going to talk next about a game that seems to be setting the internet ablaze, and I don't know why. That game is Helldivers 2. It is a PlayStation 5 console exclusive, but it's also available for PC. It also has crossplay. It is a game-as-a-service, cooperative, third-person shooter for up to 4 players. And Matt, probably the easiest way I could describe it, it is the Terminator crossed with Star Wars, crossed with Starship Troopers.
I don't see any Star Wars in it.
Oh, there's the ATSTs.
Oh, those are Warhammer. That's it's.
So was Warhammer before Star Wars?
No, but Warhammer 40K is drawing from sort of the Starship Troopers sort of realm. They're like the capes and the hyper patriotism and the big mech like worrying Titan. Those are all Warhammer 40K. To me, they're Star Wars. Replace Star Wars with Warhammer 40K. That's what it is. It's Terminator, and although actually,
Warhammer had ATSTs before Star Wars.
Warhammer has 2-legged mechs that stomp around and look much more like the mechs in this.
And that was before Star Wars.
No,
Star Wars was first then.
Star Wars didn't invent 2-legged mechs. No.
To me, it did.
Well, it didn't. So,
well, what did?
That was actually Starship Troopers. The book had mechs. Like they wore power armor mechs in that.
But they look like ATSTs?
Well, I don't know what they look like. There's a book.
Yeah, so this is the first visual representation of a ATST was in Star Wars. You're getting into semantics here.
You claimed a thing that's wrong, and I'm correcting you because it's Warhammer is the influence on this, not Star Wars.
But you just said Star Wars came before Warhammer.
Yeah, but they're not being influenced by Star Wars.
How do you know that?
Because it's definitely Warhammer meets Starship Troopers. The capes and the hyper-patriotism.
But the capes are also in Star Wars.
Right, but that's not what they're pulling from. They're pulling from Warhammer.
Okay. I think the average person will look at this game and see those walkers and say that's Star Wars.
They'll never see the walkers because they won't get to them.
Why?
Because they're so deep in the upgrade tree.
No, you fight against them.
Oh, I never fought the synthetics.
Oh, this is probably why you're...
No, it's not, because I've seen footage of it, and it's still Warhammer. I promise you it's Warhammer, not Star Wars.
Whatever.
No Star Wars in this game.
I don't care. I think 8 out of 10 people who watch footage of this will say that came from Star Wars.
I will bet you money.
Nobody even knows Warhammer has walkers, Matt.
Yeah, anyone who played Warhammer knows.
I think
that's what the Imperium
The problem, Matt,
uses.
is you think everybody is you.
No,
Not
I know.
everybody knows everything that you do. The average person doesn't even know what Warhammer is, Matt.
The people who made
But they've all
Helldivers
watched
2 do
Star
know
Wars.
what Warhammer is, and that's what the
But
source
Matt,
is.
what we're doing is we're trying to relate the game to our audience.
Our audience also knows what Warhammer is.
I didn't. I mean, I know what it is. I didn't know they ever had two-legged walkers.
They're
come
all
on, Matt.
for the games.
Come on, man. You know most people are going to associate that with Star Wars. Everyone's seen Star Wars. No, 5% of people has read a Warhammer book or seen it. Everyone's seen these walkers in Star Wars, man.
They don't look like Star Wars walkers.
Let me roll the B-roll. Actually, I don't even have any of that in our B-roll, unfortunately. But anyway.
That's too bad because the Android stuff is way cooler looking than the bug stuff. But
I played more of the Android stuff.
I played more of the bug stuff because that was what they were starting with.
Yeah.
And it seems to railroad you sort of into what the current war is, and the Android war hadn't started when I was playing last weekend.
Well, I'll tell you what happened to me is like you, I started playing the game and they force you into the bug
Scroll
stuff.
the chat.
What'd you say?
Scroll the chat
Oh.
so we can see what people are saying.
So they force you into the bug stuff to start the game. I didn't even realize for a long time that there was the robot stuff to fight. Like, I didn't even know until I started fiddling around on the map. Because, by the way, that interface sucks where you choose your missions from. So I was, like, fiddling around, and I found it. Oh, my God, there's this whole other these other planets that I could go fight on. But here's the thing. Like, usually what I do when I record B-roll for something we're going to talk about on GameFace is I'll record the first hour of me playing, and then I'll go play the game for a bunch of more hours, and then I'll come back and just do pickups. Well, there was no reason to do pickups with this game, because in the first hour of footage, it had everything that I needed. Other than showing that, hey, there's these other robot things that you can fight. But as far as like the mechanics, the mission objectives, all that stuff, I covered it all playing the first hour of the game.
Yeah, I mean, there are more. I mean, look, the most striking thing about this game to me is how much it is just the first game with a different camera angle.
I never played the first one at all.
It's all the same.
Oh.
Like, what you're talking about, the map is right out of the first game. Calling down stuff with the fucking up down A B thing.
That was in the first
that's
game
all
too?
in the first game. Like everything. This is literally just the first game, except instead of playing like a isometric shooter with a twin stick shooter, it plays like Gears of War. That's
what
it.
platform was the first one for?
PlayStation and was it
PS1,
on PC?
OG PlayStation.
No, it was PS4.
Okay.
I definitely had it on PS4.
Sony owns this IP, so
Yeah.
it was definitely only PlayStation.
I don't remember if it was. I don't think it was on PC.
Okay. I
But
doubt it, because PlayStation wasn't putting games
But
on
I
PC then.
definitely had it on PlayStation.
Okay. I have not played the original game, so this was all new to me.
Now this is,
But also all old to me, because other
Right.
than like that goofy like input stuff, it's like the most generic third-person shooter I have ever played. This game, by the way, is sold like 1 million copies in a day. Mm-hmm. Like, they claimed that they had 350...
it was the first Sony game on PC.
Okay.
So it was also
Oh, it
on
was.
PC.
So the first
And
Helldivers
it
did go to PC.
was on the Vita.
Interesting.
I would never have known that.
Me either. So anyway, and I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about?
The most generic shooter ever made.
Oh, yeah. So it's like, to me, this is like literally the most generic shooter I have ever played. And the game has sold 1 million copies in 24 hours. They said that they had 360,000 concurrent players.
Yep.
The most I ever saw was 25,000.
Well, they mean like between both platforms.
No, it shows you. There's a screen that shows you how many total players are playing across all the platforms. When you go to when you first go to the play online, it shows you all the stats. I never saw it higher than 25,000 people, but they said 360. I'm guessing they can be fact checked.
I think that was just on those servers.
Maybe
It splits it across different servers.
That could
'cause
be.
Not everybody can be on the same one.
Um,
It had something like 120,000 concurrent on Steam over the weekend.
Oh, it did?
At one point when I looked.
you saw that yourself?
Yeah.
Wow.
It did real well.
And it's insane.
Because I was looking at Suicide Squads, which was 4,700.
Yeah.
4,700.
Dude, Suicide Squad mops the floor with this fucking game. This game
I
is
like this a lot more than Suicide Squad.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I like the theme better. I like the...
But there isn't one.
Well,
There's
yeah,
like
there
an
isn't.
opening cinematic. There's no story after that.
Well, yeah, it's shooting bugs and androids.
But
That's
there's
it.
no story. There's no plot
Oh,
or
no,
anything.
there's no story.
There's
no.
no cinematics. There's no anything.
No. I mean, theme.
Theme.
Yeah.
But the
Like
theme
setting.
is... But I think Suicide Squad makes a mockery of this game. This is one of the worst games I've played in a while.
Oh, no, I like this a lot.
It's so busted. Like, there's so many goofy, like, little, like, stuff like that.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
weird glitches where, like...
Here's the secret, dirty secret, and the first one was like this too.
Oh.
Here's this dirty secret about Helldivers. It's a B-list game.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely a B-list
Oh,
game.
yeah.
Like, this would be $30 on PS2.
Well, it's only $40.
Right. I mean, it's priced right.
It is priced right.
But I mean, like, it's the idea that this is playing in the same pool as like Sony's other exclusives is Sony lying to you, basically. Like it is not. It's a quick and dirty. Not quick and dirty. It took them a long time, but like it did,
dirty.
I mean, it did take a lot.
It's definitely dirty.
It's definitely dirty. And I will say it gets a lot of it depends on which planet you're on. Like my first planet because you can go pretty much anywhere, but you do want to kind of focus on the places where there's like, the active battle is happening, and that changes as people win. Every time you win a fight, you contribute to the war effort to take over that planet by 0.00001%.
Yeah.
Huge which is part of the joke. I know that's part of
it.
It
has a little bit of that MechAssault, like, global online thing going on, but it doesn't really matter. Like,
no, I mean, that's part of the commentary. There is a little bit of political satire here with the
fascism and
freedom.
They use the word democracy like every 3 seconds.
Like the fascist bugs,
right? Yeah, I mean, it's all
very funny when
you
but I mean, because that's the Starship Troopers, right? That's the
It's shameless how much it rips off Starship Troopers. I mean, 100%. Shameless.
Which is also like very specifically the movie, because that's not in. I mean, it is in the Heinlein book is kind of more pro-fascist. Like the Heinlein book thinks it's a pretty cool idea that everyone should have to serve in the military to get to vote or have a child or things like that.
Right.
The Paul Verhoeven movie thinks that is
stupid,
bad.
Yeah,
and so clearly the point of view of the developers on this is that is also bad, but the society you're part of thinks that's very good, and it's played for laughs for the most part. But like it's. So like the planet I started on was ice. Mm-hmm. It was ice, so you could fall in water and die. Yeah. And if you were in the cold area, you reloaded slower, which was great. Yeah. So like it does actually, and you seem to be on a very toxic world here. So the environmental hazards can change your first impression of this, I think.
This world, like, you would step on stuff, it would make you walk slow, and they're everywhere. It just became annoying after a while.
Yeah, it's very hard to back away on the toxic planets, because you'll step on something that makes you suddenly go slow and they'll just swarm you.
And you can't see it if you're backing up.
Right, yeah.
And just all of a sudden you're just going crazy slow.
You gotta have a battlefield awareness that just isn't feasible.
It's impossible with the camera angle.
Yeah. And it's very hard. I will say, this game is very hard to play solo.
I just finished that mission by myself. I never played another mission by myself. It was so hard to finish a mission by myself. I'm like, I'm not going to... And then there was no way to connect. Right there you can see Helldivers active right there, 17,000. Anyway, this, Matt, is the worst PlayStation exclusive I think I may have ever played, as far as the quality and the craftsmanship of a game. Like, it was just broken. It crashed like 8 or 9 times.
I never had a single connection or crash problem.
Oh, I had 8 or 9 crashes, and I was sending the reports to PlayStation. It would pop up and say, send the video with it or whatever.
I wonder if that does anything, if anyone actually looks at that.
I do wonder that. I send them. I don't know if it actually does anything. Hey, I want to try to help.
Yeah, I'm like, attach that clip. Like, show them what happened.
Yeah, exactly. But, like, there's just so much goofy crappings. Even, like, the limited cutscenes they have, like the one where you just show up at your ship and you're in that, like, little freeze-dried thing, and then you come out and you got, like, ice all over you or frost all over you. Like, even that cutscene that's so simple, if you watch, half the time, your dude is, like, glitching around inside the machine and then gets spit out of the machine. Like, the whole game is just filled with crap like that. And then you get to playing it, and this game is just annoying as shit. I can't remember the last game where you have to reload. Yeah. Every other game you run out of bullets, it just automatically reloads. In this game, you have to do it.
And unusually, the clips matter.
Right. If you throw away your clip, you lose the ammo. Yeah. Why? There's a reason.
Because they want that to be a management thing.
I get that.
That was in the first one, too.
It doesn't matter, though. Like, you get so much ammo in this game, I don't think I ever ran out of ammo.
As long as you're pulling the supplies down, you do.
Yeah.
I've run in... it's entirely possible to end up in a situation where you don't have space or room to call down more supplies. Yeah. That's why whoever has that backpack upgrade is the best guy on the squad.
No, you're right. There are like 5 enemy types for both the aliens and the robots. There's literally like 5. You fight the same 5 enemy types over and over again.
You run into more later.
Well, eventually, I played it. I fought the bosses.
Yeah, but I'm talking about when you've put like 50 hours.
I'm
talking about the grind on this game is insane.
I've played 15 hours of it, roughly, I would guess.
Yeah, but I'm talking about when you're like level 30.
Yeah.
You know, it took me like, I played probably 10 hours, and I'm like level 9.
Dude, I don't know how you got to level 9 in that amount of time.
It's a long, long grind.
It takes forever. Yeah. Dude, I played for like 10 hours. I had one new gun.
Yeah, getting the guns is tough.
Anything. I had one new gun and one new grenade. I still didn't have a new pistol.
Mm-hmm. The only thing you can really upgrade regularly are the what was it? Not tactics. Whatever they call the thing where you call stuff down from the ship.
Yeah, they're called the stratagems.
Stratagems.
Yeah. And that, to me, is the only interesting part of this game. So the only angle on this is different from any other generic third-person cooperative shooter.
That's the only unique thing they have.
Are the stratagems. And basically what you do is you hold L1 if you're playing, well, you can only play on PlayStation. You hold L1, and then you input, like, these D-pad codes, basically. Yeah. And then satellites drop this stuff down to the ground. So you can get weapons, you can get ammo, you can get special attacks and things like that. And
turrets.
And everything is a grenade. You have to be the master of throwing grenades, because if they throw you like this orbital strike, you call it down from the sky, it's this little grenade that you throw to tag where you want the orbital strike. So you have to be the master of grenades in this game.
I'd help you if it bounces off one of their armor or something.
Oh, right, or bounces back at you and then you're running away, or bounces back. Because the other thing that I hate about this is friendly fire.
Yeah, there's
friendly fire in this game. And they send you turrets down. You put the turret down, your moron teammates walk in front of it, it kills them. Like,
it'll kill you too.
It will.
Like the turret doesn't care.
There is so much in this game that is just idiotic and completely out of step with video games in 2024.
But that's a choice they made.
I get it. It's a dumb choice. As someone who plays these games all the time, it's awful. I hated this game. Hated it. It is like the most generic waste of time I've played in I don't know how long. I can go down a list of like 10 other games like this that were way better. And Suicide Squad is definitely one of them. Like,
I'll absolutely play this more than Suicide Squad. No question.
I think that's crazy, but you have a right to your opinion. But we can go back. What's that Square Enix one? The one that was on Mars or whatever. That game mops the floor with this one. And that game lasted like 3 weeks and was gone. Like it was yesterday's news. What was it called? Oh, Outriders. Outriders.
Oh, yeah.
Outriders way better than this game.
It's still going.
Is it still alive?
Yeah, my brother-in-law plays that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But there is just countless games just like this one that do almost everything better. And at least have some semblance of a story or motivation to keep playing. Like, the only motivation to keep playing here is to get better gear, and you never get better gear! Again, you fight the same 5 enemy types over and over again. And as you've seen in the B-roll, it's an extraction shooter. So you go out, you accomplish a bunch of objectives, then you go back to this location, and there's a little horde mode that breaks out while you wait for your ship to show up. But otherwise, it is just generic third-person shooter. Like, that's what they should have called this game.
I mean, they kind of did.
I was just fighting this game. It kept crashing, like the menus and like figuring out, like it took me like a couple hours to just figure out how to like select the missions that I wanted to go to. Like all the mission objectives are repetitive AF. All of them are like, go here and blow this up or destroy this, or go here and throw a grenade in a hole to seal it off. Or the third one is go here and wait while we transmit data. And that's it.
I did like the nuke one.
Which one was that? The ICBM one?
The ICBM one.
Yeah, that's the only good one.
You launch that one off, and then you get to see it fly, and it does actually blow up.
It's rewarding.
Yeah, because it does blow up an actual sector of the area.
Yeah, it does.
That you can't go to anymore.
Yeah.
I thought that was a nice trick. They need more of that.
Yeah.
I like this game.
I hate it.
I think it's fun. It's dumb fun.
I didn't have any fun with it. I felt like I was just fighting it the whole time.
No, I mean, it is clunky in places, and there's parts where you get blindsided by enemies and you're like, fuck you, fuck this game, like, fuck you.
Yeah, you get swarmed sometimes. There's nothing you can do.
But then I load up another mission and do it again. Like, it's fun. I mean, I'm not gonna. I mean, the grind becomes very palpable once you realize that you're just not getting any new equipment in a reasonable amount of time, unless you throw real money at the in-game currency. Like, the game as a service stuff becomes real. The treadmill becomes evident very quickly.
I honestly didn't feel like it was intrusive. Like
it's not intrusive, but there's sort of the thing was like you can cut it with sort of the standard equipment and like sort of the slow moving upgrades as you get in the stratagems you get. But it sure would be nice to get that shotgun, But like it is actually the other thing I will give it in terms of sort of I don't know, innovation is not the right word because it's part of the gas stuff, but it's like when you complete successful missions, you get these medals. And the more missions in a group of missions you complete consecutively, you get more medals for that. And then you can go into the battle pass sort of stuff and choose where to spend the medals to unlock the stuff you want. And after you spend enough in one tier, it unlocks the next tier. And you can skip all the other stuff on that tier you're on and start unlocking stuff on the next tier. And I like that. I think giving you a little more control over what stuff you get first from the battle pass is a nice idea.
I mean, Call of Duty does that.
Yeah.
You can just choose from a whole map.
But you know what doesn't? Fortnite. So I think that's...
I'd rather play Fortnite than this any day of the week.
I would imagine most people would, but again, you're running into the issue of I mean, look, I do like this game, but it's who is this? I mean, look, it's a hit. It did well. How many of these people are going to be playing next week, though?
Dude,
right?
This is a hit because it's a PlayStation exclusive. That is the reason
why.
Why. Yes, it is.
I mean, partly, but it's a hit.
There's not a single glowing review of this game out there. It's averaging a 6.5 Metacritic. The only reason it sold 1 million copies in a day is because it's a PlayStation exclusive. That's it.
That's reductive, and
it's the truth.
It's not.
Sometimes the truth hurts.
No, it doesn't hurt because I don't care about PlayStation. But what I do care about is that I'm having fun playing a 6.5 game.
I'm not.
I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that score, but it's still fun to play to me, and I think a lot of people agree with that. So
I do not.
Clearly,
as somebody,
you found your Final Fantasy remake.
But I play these games out the ass. I would argue I'm an expert on these games. These are the games I play. This is my wheelhouse as far as a critic is concerned. And this game is shit.
Okay.
And it just is. Compared to all the other games on the market,
and the most popular fighting game
shit.
is Mortal Kombat 1, and that game's shit compared to
not shit.
Compared to stuff like Street Fighter and Tekken.
No.
And the mechanics are considered shit by the fighting game community.
It's still a great game. It's very well crafted. This game isn't even well crafted.
Now
it's
who are
a
you
piece
telling
of
the
junk.
expert that they're wrong?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Mortal Kombat is considered equivalent of this to a lot of fighting games.
No.
It is.
But again, okay, to a fighting aficionado, to the average person who plays fighting games,
right.
no. They like Mortal Kombat 1.
And I'm telling you, for an average person who just plays shooters, they seem to like this.
No.
Yes.
It's a PlayStation 5 exclusive, and they're trying to support the PlayStation 5 exclusive.
Now who's refusing to hear the truth? Okay. Go on.
You want me to say more things that are bad about it? I don't understand.
I'm sure you have more to say
bad
about it.
Believe me.
I'm just going to say I like this game. I don't necessarily disagree that it's a 6.5 is probably the 6.5, 7-ish in there. It's a mediocre game.
But see, that would be average. For games like this, I've never seen a game of this type have so little content or story or any reason to keep playing.
Well, the content is just shooting things.
Yeah, that's not good enough. That's
good enough for Call of Duty.
That's 2003. No, Call of Duty has a freaking campaign and a zombies mode and in Warzone and dude, you can't. Come on, this is a piece of crap.
This is more interesting to me than Call of Duty.
I understand that. You like sci-fi.
Yeah.
I totally get that. That doesn't mean objectively the game is in the same league as these other games, though.
Well,
you like it because you like I do too, but you like Starship Troopers, you like Warhammer, you like Star Wars, you like Terminator. I get that. You said it yourself. You like the theme.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not adverse to the theme. It's still a piece of crap.
I don't think it is.
Okay, well,
I
would never recommend somebody buy this game, even at $40. I would not.
I think it's mediocre, but I don't think it's a piece of crap.
It's not mediocre even, though. The average third-person shooter is better than this. It's not even average. It's below average.
What's the average third-person shooter, then?
Like the Square Enix game that we talked about, Outriders.
I think that's about on par with this.
No, remember, it has a whole story and plot.
I don't care about the story. I'm talking about just how you play the game. I feel about the same.
No, the gunplay in that game feels great. Remember the headshots in that game? You'd lift up and their heads would go pop.
Somewhat, yeah. But I think with the androids in this, you got a little bit of that. Not with the bugs. I don't like the. I don't
think the gunplay feels very good in this. The aiming is weird. You can see the reticle, how it bounces all over. If you move even a little bit,
that's because you're supposed to use that gun stationary.
No, they tell you to use every gun standing still, which again is bullcrap.
But that gun specifically, you're literally supposed to be prone. I've never used it that way because if you
stop,
you die. That's the other thing.
This game keeps telling you to dive and go prone. No, I don't want to lay on the freaking ground and play a shooter. This game is crap, man. I could go on and on about it. I'm just telling you, if you're into these type of games and you like third-person shooters, I would stay way far away from this one. That's all I'm saying. And I play these games out the ass.
And I would say that if you're watching this B-roll and you think that looks fun, you'll probably have fun with it.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say this.
You can see what it is watching it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it doesn't hide.
Oh, yeah. Well, you can watch the B-roll and see how repetitive the game is.
I mean, this is all that it is.
It is.
100%.
This is it. Yep. And the environments also get a little repetitive. Like, there's like toxic environment, snow environment, and then like spooky woods environment was like the third one that I found.
Yeah, there's a more forested thing.
Yeah, but for the most part, like all the mission, everything looks the same. There's 5 enemy types.
I think you get a better visual kick out of the android fights because they're all shooting with the lasers at you. And
I
stuff.
enjoyed the android stuff more than the
if you
aliens.
because they're more interesting enemies. Like
also the worlds that they're in aren't all dark and dreary. Like there's actually like daylight in some of them.
Right, because they're trying to take over like inhabited worlds.
Right.
So there's a little more to that. And I do think the bugs get tedious after a while. Not just because they're frustrating. Like they swarm you and they come from this side and that side. It's impossible to set up like a safe like kind of like line of battle with them, whereas the androids generally come from one direction. And also the androids shoot at you, so you can, if you start seeing lasers coming from the side of the screen,
where they're coming from.
This
it's
way.
Helpful, yeah.
Whereas with so if you so none of this was here when I played it.
Well, this is a trailer.
Oh,
this isn't my B-roll.
Okay. Because when I played it, the android thing was one sector in the far lower left corner, and there weren't even any planets I could select from.
It was hard for me to find it. Like I just kind of stumbled upon it. I was like, "Oh my god, I can fight robots!"
Yeah, I mean, I knew that was there, but I couldn't get into a mission there because they were the opening night.
The interface is weird.
They were just doing. I mean, I'm familiar with it because it's literally the same as the original, the first one. The only differences in this game is that it plays like Gears of War or a third-person shooter instead of Smash TV. That's it.
The other thing, too, is, like, I think they've fixed it now because I played this late again last night at, like, 1 in the morning, and they literally delivered a patch at midnight last night.
Yeah, there was a patch last night while I was playing Final Fantasy VII.
And after that, I managed to be able to connect to games, but otherwise, all weekend long, it was impossible to connect. Like, I would try.
There was a known problem with that at the time.
Yeah.
I did play some random matchmaking and didn't have a problem with it, but a ton of people were saying on Reddit there was a problem.
So there's 2 ways
also,
you can play.
Also, the PC version of this has a kernel-level anti-cheat program that is a security risk.
Oh.
So I would not buy this on PC.
I didn't hear about that, actually.
I would have bought it on PC because it looks better on PC.
Yeah.
But the PC version currently, the anti-cheat thing they use actually installs to the kernel. On the OS. So a lot of people are like, that's, I mean, even if nothing happens with it, it's still not safe.
Yeah.
It's not
That's
cool.
weird.
So if you're going to get this, I would say only PS5.
Yeah. And then there's a couple ways that you can choose to like launch missions with other players. You can choose quick play, which I hardly ever got to work. Or you can go to the global view of the map where you can like scroll around the globe and you can see people who have started their game. So one angle of this that is kind of cool is that you have your own ship. And if you want to level up your ship, you need to host games and have people go out in your games. But what I did the most, because I would start a game, nobody would ever join.
And the tooltip, by the way, says that's not true. The
tooltip really?
Says you can upgrade and mess with your ship on anyone else's ship too. But that
wasn't able to do that.
That doesn't seem to work.
Yeah,
right now.
Maybe it's just a bug or something.
It might be, but when they introduce you to that console, they say you can access it even on other players'
I missed
ships.
That.
And when I didn't go on other players' ships a ton, but the couple times I couldn't access that.
I wasn't able to either.
So
so there's 2 ways to play.
Vincent says they rolled that patch back this morning. So
really,
something else is wrong.
Oh geez. Well, that sucks because it was connecting better. Like I played from like 12 to like 1:30 in the morning or something like that, and I was able to get games. But the more likely way to get games if you're having problems is go to that global map area and then choose your planet and then choose the mission. And then you can see people will like pop up who have already started a game and are playing that mission. You can join. I had better luck doing it that way. But here's the other problem that I ran into is like I got kicked for like a couple times for no reason. Like we're playing a game. We're waiting. We were waiting for extraction. I'm just standing there and it just kicked me out. I think there's grief in me. They're like, oh, we used you to fight through this whole mission, but you're not getting the rewards. And they booted me right before the dropship came down. I was able to get the dropship and get my stuff. And then another time we were just like halfway through, and I guess that maybe they just wanted their buddy to play or whatever, but they just booted me out for no reason. So it is advantageous to start your own games and have other people join, but I had no luck getting other people to join my games at all. And then maybe that'll be fixed with a patch or whatever, But yeah, I don't know. This is like generic sci-fi third-person shooter 101 to me. I didn't really have hardly any fun with it. Again, the one sort of redeeming element to it is the stratagems, the stuff that you call down from the sky. That's something that other games aren't doing. But Matt, I'd just rather just have it as like my inventory. The other thing that I found that was happening to me was people were calling in their stratagems and they were coming down from the sky and killing me. landing on me. Like their drops were like hitting me and killing me.
You gotta get out of the way.
Friendly, but it's hard to see sometimes. Like if you're fighting and they put it like at your feet, you can't see the beam or whatever where it's coming down. I don't know. I could go on and on about issues that I found in this game, and I didn't even play it that long. I played it like 15 hours or something like that, and I played it a lot longer than you and wasn't much higher level than you.
I mean, the grind on the first one was that bad
like
too.
that.
Like that's just apparently how they want to do it.
But in the single player, as you mentioned, I couldn't really play without dying. I don't think you could make headway playing single player in this.
I mean, I would say I played 80% single player.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, then you can.
You got to make sure, because it automatically progresses the difficulty as you play to try to nudge you into multiplayer. So once you hit like medium challenging, you can't do that solo.
Okay.
I would say the maximum you can play solo is medium.
Okay. The difficulties unlock quick.
They
you
do.
finish one mission,
and they aren't clear about what they're doing. Like, that they're pumping out, because I kept going. I just kept going, and then I did this one mission where I just got crushed. I died in the first firefight. You get 5 redeploys basically, and I died immediately. I hadn't died once in the rest of all the other missions, and all of a sudden they just ran over me, and I'm like, what happened? And I realized that it was up on medium hard difficulty or whatever. So I dropped it down to medium. And that's just about right.
And you got to be careful too, because that can keep you from matchmaking as well. If you're there's weird difficulties. Like one was called Challenger or something.
Yeah, Challenger is a slightly harder version of the one difficulty without going up to the next difficulty, but it introduces more enemies of whatever. Or different types of things.
Yeah.
It's
and your matchmaking
but
depends.
You get better XP or whatever from it. You get bonuses from it.
And your matchmaking depends on your difficulty. So if a lot of people aren't playing on that difficulty, you're going to have trouble getting a game. So it's something to keep in mind if you do pick this up and you're trying to get some games and you don't know why you're unable to.
It should really be a little broader in how it matches people up. But then that might be why you're getting kicked too, is they're like, oh, there's Lobie showed up and we don't want him in our... It's because people are dicks. But
I mean, most of the time, most of the squads that I was in, it was a potpourri. It was one dude's level 15, one dude's level 2, one dude's level 6, one dude's level 4. And it seemed, I will say this, it does seem like the game scales pretty well for your level. I was playing with, at one point, I was level 9, and one guy was level 23, and the other guy was level 18.
Yeah, I saw that in the corner when the beer.
And I managed to make it through it okay. They did help me out here and there.
I mean, you don't really get any more powerful with the levels. It just really means you can buy new stratagems.
And you get new stratagems, you get new guns. Eventually.
Sometimes.
I got a shotgun at level 5 or level 6, and then I never got another weapon. It is. As you said,
I'm not a shotgun person, but when I got the shotgun, I switched to the shotgun and I never went back.
Oh, really?
The shotgun is just works better.
Oh, wow.
For me,
I could see for the aliens it definitely would.
For the bugs, For the androids, probably not. But you want something that can target better. But for the aliens, the bugs just boom, 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 and then you can reload whenever you want and have it full of because mine I think held. I mean, you can't tell me bullets it holds because
you can't see it.
It's the white. It fills the white up on the clip, and that's just you just kind of guess. It's flashing red, so it probably needs to be reloaded.
Yeah.
It's a weird interface, but that's also how it was in the first one. It's clearly how they've chosen to represent that for some reason.
Yep. There's 3 pieces of gear that you get. You get armor, a helmet, and a cape, but they don't have anything to do with your stats or anything.
They get bonuses. My armor doubles the armor rating.
Oh, really?
Of it. Yeah.
I didn't notice that they did that.
It's a special armor. Yeah.
Interesting. I didn't notice that.
Capes sometimes have it's little things. It's not game changers, but you'll get things that do 4% this boost or whatever. I think I have a cape that gives 5% faster reload or 5% this or that kind of thing.
Yeah. And then my final comment on the game is it just needs more boss fights. I played it for 15 hours. I think I fought 3 bosses total or something like that. To me, that would spice it up. It's easy too. Just build a massive creature and let us fight it.
So that is in there.
Just not enough.
Well, even beyond what you've seen, because they haven't conquered a sector yet. So the battle changes as more of the sector is conquered. So right now, I think it's still in that closer sector, and once that's secured, which I think it was 80% secured last I looked at it, you move on to the next one out of the ring, and then there's two more. Once you to secure the whole sector, it changes the battles in the first game anyway. It changed how the battles worked for everybody, because you had to now the bugs of realized we're winning, so to defeat Liberty, they've decided to send out like these all extra queens or whatever. So now all of a sudden there's queens everywhere.
Gotcha.
They will like change things based on how much of the quadrant like the players have conquered or whatever. And sometimes they will tilt it, like in the old game anyway, they would tilt it so that like you couldn't win. Like they would literally push the human players back to the center of the galaxy periodically, or suddenly just conquer another quadrant. And sometimes the androids and the bugs would fight. And they were in conflict because they were neighboring there, and they'll have fights, and you'll go down, and there'll be planets where both the bugs and the androids are there, and you can get caught between a fight between the two of them.
Do you think that'll be in this one?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's why they started the bugs and the androids on the opposite side, so they don't have to worry about that yet.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, they're on different sides of the galaxy, basically.
Yeah. But eventually, as everything sort of fills in, there will be border skirmishes between the two enemy types.
Interesting. I will never stick around.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you can always just go back and do it.
That's true. You go back months later, and it's
go back and like one day maybe I'll be like, hey, it's interesting now, sort of in a way for a game, and like you can go look at it. You know?
Yeah.
Because it is cool to see that, and like it changes things up, but also it just sort of makes it more frustrating.
Yeah.
So. But it is cool to be fighting, like, at least on the first game, like, where you'd be fighting androids and suddenly a swarm of bugs would come in from one side.
That would be a nice twist. Because, again, what really grated on me after a while was how repetitive the enemies were. How you just kept fighting the same aliens or robots over and over again. What?
Nolan Bozo's on. This guy refuses to go prone. Kick him.
Maybe that's why they kicked me. 'Cause I was like, F that. Like, why am I going to go prone?
Maybe
like,
you shot too many people.
I would dive away at times to get away from charging enemies.
Well, I accidentally dive because I keep thinking there's a dodge roll and there isn't.
No, it's just the dive and then you lay there on the ground.
If you hold the button, he'll get right back up.
Yeah. I just tap it, double tap it, and he gets up and runs away. Yeah. Or I click sprint and he'll get up. So.
But then sometimes you hit the slow thing and then you're just like, well, I'm gonna die.
Yeah, there's
because I can't even you can be interrupted in your stim injection too. So like if you can't get away from the enemy for like a second, you're not even gonna be able to use a health stim.
What does this note say right there, Matt?
Die.
Because that's what fucking happens in this game. There's nothing you can do. You just get trampled, or like people come from behind that you can't see.
Luna's not used to being this close to Shane.
Yeah. Or somebody puts a turret down right next to you, and an alien comes in, it just wipes you out, or they drop their things, their stratagems down on you, and it kills you. Like, you just die. Die. So anyway,
I mean, that is part of the life is pretty cheap.
It is
in the Helldivers universe.
Yeah. Well, I think what do they say? Like the average lifespan is like 19 years or something.
Yeah.
Something for the Helldiver, something like that. So anyway, there you go. That's Helldivers 2. It is a PlayStation 5 console exclusive, but it's also available on PC, which is smart for a game like this because it helps build the audience so that there's always people to match up with. It makes a difference for games as a service. So
I did turn off crossplay.
You did?
Just because I assumed the PC people are cheating.
You're going to cheat, probably. Yeah. I didn't turn it off because I was having such a problem getting games. And I was like, I'll take anybody. I just need to play this game. I was running out of time. And it did get a little bit better on Sunday, so I played like a good bit, like when the Super Bowl, before the Super Bowl and after the Super Bowl, I played a ton. And then yesterday I got to play a bunch and then last night they put the patch out. I got to play a couple more hours there. So it was tough playing this enough with all the networking and server errors, but finally I ended up getting there eventually. So there you go. That's Helldivers 2. I say stay the hell away. I think, Matt, you're saying like if you like sci-fi stuff.
If you look at the footage of this game and think it looks fun, you'll probably think it's fun.
Yeah.
Like that's all
it plays how it looks. Yeah. For sure.
It does not try to pretend to be anything else.
Yep, there's no hidden secret or some twist or change. That's what the game is.
What you see is what you get.
Yep. So there you go. That's Helldivers 2.
It's a fun brainless podcast game.
Yeah. It's a time waster, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a giant.
I can just find way better ways to
waste. I mean, it's that's the thing about it. One of the most interesting things about how well it's doing, even for like an upstart gas, is just how naked it is that the bar filling is going to take forever.
Yeah,
it's like that's part of the joke. I think is how little impact you have on the war at the end of everything.
Yeah.
But like, it's just interesting that so many more people don't seem to find that demoralizing because I guess they either get the joke or they don't care.
Well, I mean, they just got the game.
Right, but there was
no beta for this.
But it becomes clear after like five matches. You're like, this is just an endless treadmill and like. you're never going to feel important.
It takes 5 hours to realize that you're never going to unlock stuff. At that point, I was like, wait a minute. Like, like I've unlocked one gun. Like, in the whole time I played for 5 hours. Most shooters, it's like, and this is the other end of the spectrum where it's too much. But most shooters, it's like you finish like a good round of the game, and it's like ding, ding, ding.
Oh yeah,
it
doesn't care about.
Oh, there's no dinging in this at all, man. Like none. So
you can unlock stuff on the battle pass thing much faster than leveling up.
That's true.
Unlocks.
Yeah.
Like that's probably what that's there for, because you can get that every time you complete a successful mission. But that also means if you fail the mission, you still get points for stuff, but you do not get the medals, and the medals are what really give you the upgraded stuff.
Also, I got 5 stars on every mission I played.
I got 2 stars on one where I barely got out alive.
You're playing by yourself?
Yeah.
I could see that. Playing with other people, 5 stars every mission. In some missions,
and you get a little bit of leeway. Like 5 stars is a victory, but you can also get great victory, total victory. I don't know what the criteria for all that is, but like
I think you have to complete all the extra missions.
Some of it, yeah, because what you're actually supposed to, like, a lot of people don't realize that, like, you're not supposed to just go in, do the main mission, and leave. You're supposed to go in, probably do the main mission, and then sort of split up and all go do the random shit around the map, which mostly is doable by a single player.
Yeah.
And then everybody like rejoins.
Extract.
Now the problem with that is sometimes somebody just goes over, activates the extract, and you got a minute and a half to get there before they leave you on the planet. So it's not ideal, but that is ideal because you have a very strict time limit on it.
30 minutes.
30 minutes usually. Yeah.
And each mission usually lasts about 30 minutes. It's a commitment.
Yeah, if you go off the beaten, if you try to do side stuff, you're gonna find yourself all of a sudden doing. And there are some things, like there's one time I found a giant artillery cannon that you had to go find shells for, but after you do that, it randomly shells the enemies you're fighting everywhere else on the map, which is kind of cool.
But also shell you.
Yeah, we'll also kill you if you're not careful. But
I can't tell you how many times I'm just running along and I just die. Because
it didn't happen too much.
Somebody tossed a grenade, or the artillery shot me, or there's like a turret from the enemy has that I didn't see that just shot me.
Your teammates are definitely a threat in the same way the enemies are.
Yeah, for sure. So there you go. That's Hellblade.
Some people will probably like that.
Helldivers, too. I almost said Hellblade, too. I'm getting ahead of myself here.
Let's hope Hellblade 2 is a little better than this.
I hope to God. Oh, man, what a disappointment that would be. Okay. Next up, we have a game that Matt played, and unfortunately, I did not have time to play. I tried to play it yesterday, and it had ended. It was over, yeah. It ended on Sunday, unfortunately.
It ended in a real early place.
It was really dumb for them to end it on Super Bowl Sunday when everybody's doing something else.
Like right at that evening, too. Yeah. It was like, oh, like most
as
people
soon as the game ended, they ended the beta. And that game is Skull and Bones. We've been talking about this since SIFTD launched, I think. Well, no, I think 2017 it was announced.
It's been in development since 2013.
Has it? So it is a spin-off of Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag-ish.
It was a cash-in. And I will say that is pretty much exactly what it is. It is the pirate part of Black Flag with limited ammo and more a lot more upgrades and things to do with the ship. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much what it is.
Like, it looks like... So I watched the B-roll, but I didn't play it.
No idea what took 10 years.
Really?
None whatsoever.
Really?
And I talked to some of my ex-UB people. They have no idea what took 10... Like, no one knows why this took so long. There have been theories that they might have started over a couple times. That they maybe had one of the leads was one of the guys who was removed for being alleged sex pest.
Oh, right.
That probably didn't help recruiting people to work on the team for a while. But yeah, this is the Assassin's Creed boat stuff, the game.
Yeah. It does have... I didn't play it, but I did watch a lot of B-roll getting this footage together for the show today. And one thing that I would say is, like, it does seem like an Assassin's Creed game, like the structure of it. Because it's like you land on an island... You talk to somebody, they give you a mission, you run back to your ship, you hop in your ship, you run off, you do your mission, you come back, talk to the person, they give you your reward.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the better comparison is World of Warcraft.
Okay.
It's an MMO.
Oh, interesting.
Like you go, because there's no on-foot gameplay.
Yeah. You just run around the island.
You run around bases, like you run around like settlements, like towns or your home base. Mm-hmm. That's it. You can't even walk around a ship, which is weird.
That is weird.
I would like to be able to look at my ship a little bit.
Yeah, what the hell?
But like if you go to an island where you need to get resource or whatever, you don't get off the ship. You press the Y button on I'm using an Xbox controller on the PC, but you hit the Y button and you play a little mini game, a little timing based mini game, and you get the stuff, and you never get off the boat. That's it. There's like places you can, like trading hubs you can get off and walk around. You can find hidden things and pick up stuff, but there's no combat. You don't have a sword. You don't have a gun. There's no when you board the ship, you don't fight each other. It just like boards them and you win.
You also don't really board the ship, right? There's like there's just a post that you hit the button next to, and like then you get a menu.
No, you just go to a menu and you can manage the ship and set sail, and it pops you out.
Yeah, you don't like get in the water and swim to the boat.
None of
it's
seamless at all.
Yeah,
no, you can't. Your character can't do any of the Assassin's Creed stuff.
Yeah.
Your character also doesn't talk
ever.
You get little meaningless dialogue choices. So you can kind of play the character through the dialogue choices as either a bloodthirsty pirate person or a greedy merchant. That's your option. And those are basically the two ways you can play the game. You can play it like make a lot of money through like smuggling and trading, or you can play it as a murder everybody and take their shit pirate. Those are your two options. Neither one really seems to be better. Obviously, one is a little more exciting.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to kill people to get stuff, even if you're playing as a merchant, one way or the other. You don't talk at all. You have no personality whatsoever.
That sucks.
You're just talking to...
so how do you portray that you're this greedy, cutthroat pirate? Like...
You don't. You get dialogue options, and you pick the one that either the
good guy or the bad guy one.
The guy who's like they're both bad.
Yeah.
But like you're still stealing stuff from people. You're just not killing them when you take it. If you're the, but there's like or you're finding it or like robbing it from people or that kind of thing. But like no, there's like the main pirate guy who's sort of your main first contact in the pirate smuggler hideout who like is just like. He's like, I'm working. I got idiots working for me, and you're
pretty good.
And you're sort of like, oh, well, you gotta. He's like, this doesn't work, and and like your options might be like I'll kill them all and take the booty, and then we'll be back on top, or like if I can make some shrewd deals, like we'll get more money and we won't need to work with those guys anymore. And like whichever one you pick, the guy will be like I like your ambition, Kelly. It's like and like so you know what I mean. It's like you're playing like you can play the character a certain way in the unvoiced dialogue choices, but does it change what happens? Absolutely not. It doesn't even lock you into one way or another of approaching a mission. The missions are all the same no matter what. Like, the quests are all going to be like go do this, and it's not like you get an option of like sneaking onto the ship and stealing the cargo or blowing the ship up and taking the cargo. You blow the ship up and take the cargo. That's it.
Okay.
Unless it's very specifically a mission where you have to go sneak on the ship, in which case
there is boarding in this, right?
No.
Oh, so like, isn't it just a cutscene or something?
No. Well, so when you get the life of a ship down far enough, when you're aiming with the side guns, it will bring up a thing to hit a button to do. I think it's the right bumper or something. To crew. It says crew boarding. And they'll throw out a bunch of grappling hooks, and if you're close enough and at least two of them hook, they'll pull the ship in. You get a quick cutscene of them pulling the ship to you, and you win.
Okay.
That's it.
But you don't actually board and do anything.
No, there is no boarding, and there's no sword. Like you don't. It's not like Assassin's Creed where you jump on board and fight everybody. And
how is this like not as robust as it was in Assassin's Creed?
Well,
this is a whole game dedicated to it.
Well, that's the thing, is it is more robust in terms of the ship stuff. In terms of like upgrading the ship and customizing the ship and having the trade stuff work and going to all these different ports and sailing the map is gigantic.
It looked like it. Yeah.
It does, however, use leveled areas. So you'll go into an area and you're like, these ships are too high level for you to fight. It's like an MMO. It's like going into the Barrens when you're too low level.
Or like a From Software game.
Yeah. Well, From you stand a chance, and this seems to be a lot more numerically based.
Oh, got you.
Like that, you can't really dodge a cannonball.
Yeah.
It's gonna hit you.
Yeah.
You can take a fair amount of damage, and you can carry tons of repair kits. So you can, I've fought things that were above my level and come out of it okay. But if I fought maybe two things were above my level, I would have died really quick. Ramming isn't really much of a thing, at least not so far. Maybe you can upgrade that later, but I haven't run into it.
You're recruiting crew though, right?
No.
Oh, you don't? Because I thought I saw in one of the early this one right here. You don't recruit these guys to be on your crew?
No, that's story driven. They're just right there.
Oh.
And actually, that guy, that was a girl in mine.
The guy on the right or the left?
The guy on the left was a Latino girl, Latino woman.
Interesting.
The guy's the same, but yeah, that was a totally different person. And the people on the ship were different every time I got on the ship. Like
What?
that guy, the guy on the right, and the girl who was with me, who's like my right hand person. They're the same, but like every time you change the look of the crew, you get kind of a different makeup of the crew. Right now, I'm like it's like a mix of like women and men, which is actually cool because they will when they sing the sea shanties when we're sailing around, it's a mix of women and male voices, men and women's voices, which I've never heard in these before.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of the sailing songs are in other languages, which is pretty cool.
That's cool.
So they've expanded the sea shanties tremendously.
Did you see how many studios worked on this game in the open?
Almost
like
all of
10.
them. Yeah, like. And only one of them whose work I actually enjoy.
10 studios over 10 years. It's like, what? Like...
So this thing where you get this disembark thing, this is purely the tutorial. Like you can't get off on a beach anywhere. Like I've never even seen this guy before. Again.
Really?
Like, no, like the guy you talk to here is like a dick from your old crew. Like I've never even seen him again. Maybe I just haven't gotten to it yet, or because I think I got to level 6, but the level of the ship is just based on your upgrades. So like you have to find resources, craft them, upgrade the ship, find resources, build a new ship. I have like blueprints for like 3 different ships. One of the big things is buying and finding blueprints that let you build better things.
Okay.
Like you have to craft everything, and you have to craft the armor. You have to craft all the different guns, and then equip the guns to each side in the front of the ship. You have to craft the ammo. You have to there's limited ammo even on the basic cannons on the side. I mean, I'm carrying 300 rounds, so it's not like I'm gonna run out.
Yeah.
The cargo space is actually very generous. Until you start really, doing a lot of resource gathering out in the world. But like, the beginning is very slow. It's very, you're just, okay, go do this. Go find 3, that's what's happening right now. Find 3 firearms and 3 opulent rums, which isn't even what I had to find. I had to find 2 different kinds of items.
Well, that's kind of cool, though.
There's still the same thing. It was still going.
Did you still have to fight the shark?
I didn't realize you could throw spears, so no, I just got hit by the shark a bunch while I was doing that, and then I went back to the beach. So
that's funny.
I didn't realize that was a thing.
Yeah.
You do have to get back on this little boat sometimes to do like harpoon missions, to go hunt animals and bring back the skins and turn that. Then you can refine. There's a refiner. You refine everything you find into a better thing that you can then use to craft into it's a crafting game. It's very much a crafting game. It's hard.
I did kind of see that later on. Yeah.
And so you're this guy, and you got to bring that back, and then he betrays you. So you have to go to St. Anne's or whatever. It is a fictional area. Like it all feels like maybe it's off the Caribbean, but it's also sort of off the coast of Africa, but it's also sort of off the coast of Brazil, but it's also sort of over here. And it's like a weird mishmash of everywhere. There's also sections that kind of feel like maybe they're in China. Like it's a mishmash of everywhere there was piracy in the 1800s. Kind of all. It's like a pirate's world for me, kind of thing.
It's a pretty game.
It is very pretty. So here's the thing. That part's slow. There's not much to do but shoot things and pick things up. All the on foot stuff is just
super fluid.
You run around and interact with people, sell and trade, pick up quests. There's tons of side quests to go do and weird things like that. It's kind of not very good.
Yeah.
I'm
kind of getting that vibe. But you love it.
I love it.
Oh, dude.
It is the worst game I've loved in a long time.
I'll be honest with you. As you started talking about it, I knew you were gonna say this.
Yeah,
because I know you, and
It's the crafting is tedious. The collecting stuff is tedious. The combat is everything you've already done before. It's still fun.
Yeah.
Like it's fun, but even then, like one of the things I liked about Rogue was it upgraded to the little puckle guns. So like you fire off the broadside, and then you can use the little guns to like aim at the weak spots and blow. Those aren't in this. At least not so far. And like so, it's a little. It's not simplified, but it is a little. It feels like you've done it before because this is 10-year-old gameplay in that regard.
Although I may have forgotten a lot of it.
Yeah, you probably have forgotten some of it. And like the the on foot stuff is dumb. This is all the harvesting stuff is that little mini game where you stop it on the green and you don't even go in the shipwrecks. You just get loot from this is only in the tutorial so far. So like you see a shipwreck, you pull up and you do the little mini game and you just get the cargo on it and you just move on. Like you don't even get off the ship.
Wow.
But and like on foot stuff is boring. The cutscenes are boring. The characters are complete nothings. Like I don't care about anything anyone said. This is the main guy who's your quest giver at the
contact. Yeah,
he is incredibly tedious. Like you just want him to stop talking. Just give me the fucking mission. And let me go. But as soon as I get out on the ocean, love it.
Yeah,
like I just sail around and pick stuff up and look at things and blow things up and explore over here and like see what this is, and I can go over and like I love it.
It's
but
more like Sea of Thieves than I thought, actually.
A little bit, except with absolutely no cooperation whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, there is cooperation between ships. Like, you can, if you're in trouble, you can call for help, and it'll send out like in the whole zone. It'll call everyone, and you can go over and help somebody, and that's fun. It's there is like a weird, because there's people running around everywhere, there's ships sailing around everywhere, and of course early on you all have the same ship with the same logo and the same color, because that's all anybody has unlocked, so it's just all the same ship flying around. But like you can hurt each other if you run into each other, and you can shoot each other. And it's funny that like the way you greet each other in this game as players, if you're just sort of going about your PvE existence, seems to be as you pass each other, you just shoot each other once.
That's funny.
Like
Not enough to harm anything.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of a wave. Like as you pass, it's like how the truckers wave on the freeway.
Right.
That's how you do that in this. You just shoot one bullet at somebody. Like there you go.
That's
Yar.
funny. Oh man.
So that kind of thing. You know, there are emotes on the foot, but like who gives a shit? Because the only time you see people are in like the trading sections, and nobody's doing it. Everyone's just running back and forth.
Yeah.
And you're trying to build up your infamy, which is sort of like points you get for doing various things. That's your level of the ship is sort of what determines what you can survive. Infamy is what determines what gets unlocked, what you can craft, what blueprints you're allowed to buy, what people will sell you in shops, etc. So that's sort of what you're doing quests for, to get infamy and resources.
So you're just trying to build your renown, basically.
Yeah. And
what is the overall goal of the game?
To be a pirate.
That's it.
To be the best darn pirate. That's literally, it's like literally the Pokemon thing. It's like, I'm going to be the best pirate master and win the pirate championship or whatever. I don't know. That's all. Right, that's the point right there. Get the upgrades.
Get all the pickaxes.
That's it. And you'll see the last one there is blocked out by the, that's your infamy blocking you out from that last one because you're not high enough in infamy yet.
Yep.
That's it. To like go gather more materials to craft a better ship, so you can go to a new zone and get better materials to craft the next ship and the next pickaxe and the next gun level, and that's you know. And there's tons of there's 3 different fucking currency types. There's the gold you get in the game. There's like an extra kind of currency you can buy, and there's clothing and options for that you can only buy with that, and clothes you can only buy with the in-game like gold you earn from the gameplay, and there's stuff you can only buy with the Ubisoft currency or whatever. It's very naked in how much that is present in the game.
Yeah.
The coolest stuff is locked behind pay for stuff. It's not the coolest outfits tend to be the blue currency, not the regular currency.
Yeah.
Shocker. Yeah.
And here you're harvesting wood, right? Mm-hmm. You go to the shore and you just chop down the trees.
This little saw goes across, and you hit it in the green. You get extra ones.
Yeah.
So get all your acacia, and then next time you go out and sail, those trees will be back.
Oh, really? They'll come back.
They come back pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that you're enjoying this, Matt.
I am. I can't really tell you why.
I can. This is in your wheelhouse. This is the type of games that you enjoy. I mean, when you started talking about it, I knew where this discussion was going to go.
But it should, I keep playing it, and I'm just like, I should be bored. This should be boring to me.
It's a pirate's life for you.
Yes, but a pirate's life, I mean, it's true in reality. Yeah, a pirate's life was mostly just staring while you sailed. It wasn't very interesting most of the time.
Most of the time it wasn't. Yeah.
And the way you sail in this, by the way, is pretty much the same as the Assassin's Creed ones.
You have the 3 levels of your sails or whatever?
You have 2 levels. You got 2 levels for free, and then the 3rd level in this one has a stamina meter. Because the idea is that everybody's got the sails all extra rigged, and everybody's holding on to them, so they can only do that for so long.
Okay.
And when that stamina runs down, you have to pull off that 3rd sail, that 3rd gear, or and then that will regenerate. It regenerates pretty fast.
It's basically a sprint.
Yeah, it is a sprint. But if you don't, you still go a little faster, just between middle and high.
Okay.
And of course, the wind matters. If you're against the wind, you'll be going 4 knots, and you won't get anywhere. So you want to do the sprint because that gets you extra speed no matter what, especially if you have certain items that boost that. But there's some cool, when I was playing the other Saturday, a thunderstorm rolled in from off where the main pirate base was, and you could see it moving with the light and all that. And I was doing stuff over on this side, and it was coming around, and it's just and the the crewmen were like storm's coming in, Captain. And I know, I see it. And then eventually like it moved in and like it was on top of us and like and I was like I got to get back to the base.
That's kind of cool.
And it looked, I mean the Assassin's Creed did that too, but it's like. There's the animals around. There's hippos and crocodiles and
sharks, obviously.
Sharks,
whales.
I think there's whales. I haven't seen any whales.
I'm sure there will be.
You would think so.
Yeah.
You can tell what animals are in the game because you can look at what the refiner will refine.
Oh, right.
And so like,
whale
I know you can make hippo hide leather.
Right.
That
whale
leather.
blubber in there.
So and you can go. There's like side missions that are like everybody's got side missions to deliver this or explore that or find that. And there's like bounty boards where go kill this level ship for this or go deliver this cargo to this place, and a lot of times you have to go get the cargo. So first thing I got I think was like deliver 5 shark leather to this one place
to
do it. But it'll tell you had to get you had to use the tiny boat for that, so I had to switch back to the small boat, which means you got to switch all your cargo to the warehouse and then like take the boat out, find sharks, kill the sharks, get the skins, hope they give you the skins, come back, take the skins to the refiner, refine the skins into the shark skins, switch to the big boat because you got to go a long way to get to the place that wants the shark skins. Switch to the big boat, reload all the cargo out of the warehouse because it couldn't fit on the small boat, and then go back out and then sail to the place and then give them that. And oh, good, 400 infamy.
That seems a little tedious.
That is, but I mean, ideally, you can have like 10 quests happening at once, so hopefully you can kind of balance it out. It's like I have 5 things I can go do at this one location, and I'm just gonna go do it and then go turn it all in at once, and that feels good.
Okay.
But like I think you are going to find this extremely tedious.
That's
like you're going to be like, what am I working towards here? Because there is, like I said, it's pure so far at least, it's purely just I want to be the Pokemon master.
Yeah.
Like there's no story beyond
that's
that.
enough for me to play Pokemon.
I guess, but like you're not collecting a lot of swabs
that's
in this.
True,
Like it's not like you're running around throwing Pokeballs at pirates and being like, "Come on, you're in my crew now."
That might make it better.
It's an idea for the expansion.
Yeah. Well, we'll be talking about this game again, I think next week. Does it come out next week? I think it does. I know Ubisoft contacted me about review code, so I should be getting it soon.
Yes, it comes out on the 18th, and I think the maximum edition is like 3 days early or something.
Yeah. So we'll probably be talking about this even more in depth on next week's episode. We want to give you a little bit of taste because Matt got a chance to play the beta. Actually, let's check with you guys.
But I really don't understand why this took a decade to make.
It doesn't make any sense at all. It really doesn't.
To the degree that the quests and stuff are literally MMO 2004 level shit.
Yeah. Vincent and Link So Good says it comes out on Friday. Yeah. So we'll definitely have it in next week's show. Quadruple A. There we go. Quadruple A game. Banishers we'll be talking about.
Yeah, I mentioned that quote to some of my Ubi friends, and they're like, "Oh my god, they said it publicly."
No.
Apparently, quadruple A is an internal Ubi thing. It's like a running gag of like, "Oh, we're making quadruple A game." Like it's like, and they're like, "Oh my god, they said it like it's a thing."
Yeah,
so
that's right. People are making mention of that. No Banishers impressions today. I was supposed to get review code for that as well, and they screwed up with and you may have realized there aren't that many reviews of that game out because they screwed up distributing the review codes.
Yeah, that went live yesterday, but I didn't end up playing it because I figured we weren't going to get to that.
I was like, wait a minute, like only IGN and GameSpot publish reviews, and they always are the first or whatever, and I totally get that. But I had like requested the code, and I contacted them, I'm like, bro, like, where's the code? There's reviews up there. Like, oh, dude, we totally messed up.
It's not looking. The reviews so far are not looking great for the fantasy pick
for Banishers.
Yeah,
what's its Metacritic?
It's 7.
Where'd you pick that?
Like 4th or 5th.
Oh.
And like my
at the time that makes sense.
Yeah, but also my first alternate's Helldivers, and that's got like an 86.
It has an 86?
Helldivers
has an 86?
In the mid-80s. Yeah.
Oh, dude, then you hit the jackpot. If it stays at that, man, you got it hooked up. So anyway, we'll be talking more Skull and Bones next week after I get a chance to play it. I tried this week, but unfortunately, I could not make it happen. And it's time to move on to the last topic of this week's episode. Before we do that, here's a word from our sponsor, New York Sneaker Society. What's up, everyone? Shane here, and one thing you may not realize about me... What's up, everyone? Shane here, and one thing you may not realize about me is that I am a total sneakerhead. That's right, I've been collecting Nike sneakers since the early 90s. My favorites are Air Max 95 and Air Max 97. Now, one thing that's different about me from your typical sneakerhead is that I actually wear the sneakers. And because of that, they can get dirty. And that is where New York Sneaker Society comes in. Using their advanced shoe cleaning products, I turned an old pair of Nikes that looked like this into this. With their cleaning products, your sneaker life can go from a year to 5 or more. I know that. I have shoes that are like 30 years old that I still wear because I've cleaned them. You can also lower your carbon footprint, haha, by keeping your kicks looking fresh. For my daily drivers, I also appreciate New York Sneaker Society's Refresh Spray to keep them smelling great and staying crisp. Head to nysneakersociety.co/sifted to clean your shoes like a pro at home and get 10% off your order. That's right, that's nysneakersociety.co/sifted for 10% off. That's right, people. Go to nysneakersociety.co/sifted. Get yourself a cleaning kit. I'll say this. Seeing it in 1080p, you can actually see the difference in the shoes that I worked on. So for some reason last week I couldn't see it. You absolutely, and I'm sure on the stream you guys can see too, the drastic difference it made. Don't buy a new pair of shoes. You will be shocked at what you can do with that cleaning kit. Like, you can take an old pair of shoes that you've had for like 10 or 11 years that look like they're done, and with those cleaning materials, literally, I think it took me 5 or 6 minutes to clean those shoes. They looked almost brand new again. So save yourself money, save yourself the carbon footprint, pun intended, and go to nysneakersociety.co/sifted and get yourself some sneaker cleaning stuff.
For me, it's the soles that wear out.
Oh, really?
Like, I've got my shoes I wear most right now are these brown ones, and the soles are basically flat now.
Oh, really?
Like, I walked out with them when it was wet from like last. I was like, oh no, I can't actually. I'm gonna like fall over. So,
now,
yeah.
do you get shoes that are worn like differently on one side or the other, or do you walk pretty evenly?
I think I walk pretty evenly, but I've had those shoes for like 8 years, and they're just like Macy's, whatever. Like, and they're the bottom. Like, you can tell from how tall the heel is, and then like you look at the main part where I walk, and it's like it's probably gonna about like this far from being a hole in the thing. You know, I'm about to wear through them.
Well, I've noticed that
resoling a shoe is just not worth it unless you're talking about like a custom made, like something you get from a real shoemaker in like city of London or something.
Yeah,
like American shoes are not worth that.
Well, ever since I had my ACL reconstructed, the shoe on my right foot wears differently than the shoe on my left foot. Like if you look at the back, the one corner is a little bit more worn off than they are on the other shoe, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, wearing out the sole, not much you can do about that.
No, you can't clean that.
You can't clean that, fix that. But if you have shoes that are just dirty, maybe a little bit beat up, you will be shocked at the difference you can make.
Also, I imagine like sneakers are going to get dirty more than worn.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yep. Because sometimes you're out exercising in them or whatever.
Yeah, you're going to be playing something. You know, certainly like if you're out on the baseball field.
Or running in grass. Like, you don't wear out the bottoms, they just get grass stained and dirty.
Yeah. Or if you're just walking around LA last week because it was just mud everywhere.
That's true. Yeah. So as you know, as part of this sponsorship, every week we pick one game that is rising up the most anticipated list. And generally what we do is we try to pick a game that either you guys have been talking about a lot over the last week, or there's new media that has been released that piqued our interest. And this week's winner, you maybe could have guessed it, is Stellar Blade. We've talked about this a good bit the last couple weeks on GameFace. We just mentioned earlier in the show about how it was rated by the Korean ratings board as an AO, adults only, for both sex and violence. As I said, from the State of Play, this is the second most commented game from that State of Play, which is crazy when you think about all the Kojima stuff that was in there. But this game is really resonating.
Kojima ain't actually that popular.
Yeah, it kind of seems that way, actually. But this game, for whatever reason, has really piqued your interest. We can look at the data as far as views around each game on the site, and you guys have been congregating to Stellar Blade. It has definitely moved up big time, not just over the last week, but over the last couple weeks.
It's the #2 most pre-ordered game on PlayStation 5 right now.
Really?
Behind only the deluxe version of the show.
Oh, well then we picked the right one for this week.
There were some people angry that it was outselling Final Fantasy VII.
No. And I would argue that there's a little bit of the Helldivers 2 stuff going on here, where this is a PlayStation exclusive and people are shading their opinions a little bit in that direction, but that doesn't matter. When we're talking about,
but I think it's more her character is her ass, and the character, the development director, I think it was, came out and said, "Oh, we focused a lot on the back of the character because we know that's what you're looking at."
Oh, he did say that. That's right. Yeah.
And like all the weirdos who don't realize that porn is free on the internet are like, "Oh yeah, that's what games need to be because hot women aren't allowed to be in video games anymore." Okay. And it's just like, okay, weirdo.
Yeah.
And there aren't really any other character action games on the docket.
No, you're right.
Anything.
This is kind of one of the only ones. You're right.
Only game in town. It's just too bad it looks like every other game of that type to me.
Yeah.
But this is your thing. I mean, how where else are you going to get save points?
and the ability to rest
in this day and age.
But anyway, this is our pick for the sneaker game of the week, the game that has risen up the ranks more than any other over the last 7 days, and we'll be back next week to crown the next champ. And again, go to nysneakersociety.co/sifted and try to use that URL if you can and pick yourself up a shoe cleaning kit. And with that, it's time to get to our last topic of GameFace 376. And as we always, we keep a smaller game usually in our pocket for this. And generally, that's in case we have to cut it if we're running out of time. But it looks like we have plenty of time to get through everything we need to today, so we're going to discuss this final game. And you guys may have actually been playing it because it's also free right now on PlayStation Plus if you're a subscriber, and that is Foamstars. This is Square Enix's... Square Enix, by the way, keeps saying over and over again, this is not a Splatoon clone. We didn't take anything from Splatoon when we... Yeah. Okay, buddy.
And the Skull and Bones people have never heard of Black Flag. Come on.
Let me just say, by the way, that this...
Helldivers? What? Starship Troopers? Never heard of it.
Exactly. Let me just say that when I played this game, it became even more apparent that they had completely ripped off Splatoon for this game. This is a PlayStation exclusive. It's available for both PS5 and PS4. They actually covered a lot of PS exclusives today. For whatever reason, it's worked out that way.
Because it's the only thing coming out.
Yeah. And again, if you are a PlayStation Plus subscriber, you can download this completely free. Now, that's not going to last. Eventually, I think they're going to try to sell this thing for like $30.
Yeah, well, certainly it's on other platforms. It's on like PC, right?
No, Right now, it's only PlayStation. Eventually, I think it will. Maybe not, because this game...
And they're basically trying to Rocket League it.
Pretty much, yeah. This game is awful. It's worse than Helldivers 2 by a significant measure.
Wow.
It is one of the worst games I have played in a really long time. It is a third-person cooperative and competitive shooter. And the objective of the game is basically like team deathmatch for the most part. There's really only one mode. And it starts out as team deathmatch, where you're trying to kill the other team. And then eventually a VIP emerges. So it's like a cross between team deathmatch and VIP. And you have to kill the VIP to finish the match, basically. There's a single player in this. The single player in this is basically just a training mission where it's a horde mode. And the worst, most generic, stupid horde mode I have ever played. So the single player in this is a wash. Like Helldivers, there's really no plot to this at all. There's a setup. You're basically in this fake version of Las Vegas, and you basically are living like New Year's Eve is every day. Like Vegas is year-round, pretty much. And so that's the setup. But then there's really there's not a whole lot of story as to why you guys are fighting each other with foam. Because it's just absurd, to be honest with you. So
there's no Splatoon thing where you're trying to cover more area?
So there is the strategy of the game is like that. What you're seeing right now is like the little overworld you hang around in before you go on your missions.
Yeah, to be clear, I did not play this because I wasn't even giving this that much hard drive space.
Yep.
Forget it.
Matt didn't play it at all, and I don't blame him at all. He made the right call. But in this little area...
I did add it to my account, though, because, I'm paying for PlayStation Plus, I'm going to get it.
Might as well get your rewards, yeah. So this little area, it's like every other game of this type. There's stores where you can go to where you can buy new weapons or upgrade your weapons, or you can buy new cosmetics or get new cosmetics. So as far as that's concerned, it's pretty much a typical like game as a service in that way. And you can choose to go to locations in this little overworld area to start either the multiplayer or the single player, or you can just hit start. It's like, I do wonder why they create these little areas when they can just be solved with a menu. That seems to happen
the only time I find that valuable in it was in Street Fighter 6.
Yeah. It works there because it's replicating the
arcade environment. Like for this, it's just like, why are you wasting my time between I don't need
Yep.
I'm not going to give Call of Duty credit too often, but they at least know all you need is a menu and a countdown.
It's true, yeah. And they didn't get that with this game. They didn't get the memo, for sure. There is some voice acting, and there's a script in it. It is abysmal. It is embarrassingly bad. Like, blatantly written by their Japanese studio to be read by U.S. voice actors. It's awkward and bad. So the single player in this is completely a wash. It is all about... Freudian slip. It is all about the 4 versus 4 multiplayer. And so basically how the game works is, and you can see there's your different characters, and each one of these characters has a different gun. And I will say this, those guns are all completely different. They all fire completely different. They have different firing patterns. They have different ranges. And it takes a while to figure out like what each one does and how to effectively use each one of those guns. But the problem with it is, and this is just single player that we're seeing here, once you get to the multiplayer, and you'll see it in the B-roll, the problem is that it just becomes complete and utter chaos. So, Matt, you're asking me, is it like Splatoon where you can control territory by what you spray? Yes, absolutely. So how it works is, the whole premise of the game is you shoot the enemy with your foam gun enough so that they become consumed by foam. And at that point, they're basically incapacitated. And when that happens, what you want to do is squeeze L2, jump on your surfboard, and then hit them with the surfboard to finish them off. That's how you kill them. Although in this game, they don't call them kills, they call them chills. So you bound them up with the foam so they can't move anymore and they're stuck, and then you come up and you basically surf on them to finish them off. Now, here's the thing. While you are bound up, say the enemy has sprayed you with foam and you're incapacitated and covered with foam, your teammate can also come up and surf on you and knock the foam off of you and keep you alive.
And then they have to hit you with FOMO.
FOMO. You need mofo.
Yeah.
Mofo. And so here's the thing. That sounds maybe cool and kind of an interesting like little twist to how the game plays.
It sounds like I would just want you to die after a while.
Well, the problem is that it just becomes a surfing fest. Because everybody's just trying to, if somebody's balled up in foam, everybody's just spamming that L2, trying to get the surfboard to either save you or knock you out. And again, back to your point about how does the territorial stuff work, like it does in Splatoon. So when you spray the foam down, it does slow down the enemy. So they can't surf or run on your foam as fast as they can run and surf on their foam. Like, the match starts, and you guys have already seen enough of this single player to get it. It's just a really lame horde mode. But once you get to the multiplayer, like, when it starts out, you start up on a hill, and you all are on your surfboards. You surf down, and then you launch into the battlefield. It makes a great first impression. You're like, oh, wow. Like, you just shoot down and shoot, and you jump, and you're like, yeah, I'm surfing. And then the battle starts. And then you realize that you move like molasses, even if there isn't the other colored foam down. So the match starts. People just start launching their foam into the air. And eventually, the whole map is covered by foam. Now, one thing that this game does that Splatoon doesn't do is that the foam can basically congregate and become big piles and big mountains of the foam. Whereas in Splatoon, it's just flat. You've covered it with a color, and that's it. This actually changes the terrain and, like, morphs and based upon the foam. Sounds cool. Technology, kind of cool. In the game, it's a nightmare. Because what happens is, if there's a big mound of foam in front of you, they show you the silhouettes of the players behind the foam. And so the foam can be like waves. It could be a big hill and then down and then back up again. And, like, if you're trying to figure out where the enemy is, you're looking through two different mounds that have enemies on the other side of both mounds, so you can't tell which one's the closer enemy. It just becomes complete noise as far as like visually, just visual noise. And it just, what happens is you just start spamming your foam gun, and then you start spamming your surfboard trying to finish off enemies, and it just becomes, here, you can start seeing it. It just becomes a button mashing fest where you can't make heads or tails of anything that's going on. Like, I never saw, other than in the replays, I never saw anyone kill me. I never knew who killed me. I never knew who shot me, where the foam came from, none of it. Because you just can't tell. It just becomes complete and utter chaos. And then sometimes if you get stuck in their colored foam, then you can't move and you're stuck in place, and then somebody like lights you up and you get incapacitated, and then all of a sudden both your teammates and the enemy are trying to surf on you to break the foam off to either kill you or save your life. It's one of those things where if you describe it, people will be like, oh, that sounds kind of cool. That might be actual fun. And then you play it and you're like, this is the worst thing ever. Like, I can totally understand why they decided to sign a deal for this game with PlayStation Plus. Because, I mean, I think there's like one review on the internet for it at this point.
Oh, no, there's a full Metacritic now.
Oh, there is?
Yeah, it's at like 58 or something.
That's high. That's way too high. That shows you that they do not treat the whole scale. They do not use the whole scale when they review games.
I mean, that was one of, back in the X-Play days, that was our justification for the 5-point scale, was like, for the people who complain about it not being 10, we're like, think about it as the top end of the 10-point scale.
Yeah.
Like, once you get below a 6, who cares?
It doesn't matter.
Like,
yeah.
A 1 is just anything from like a 1 to a 6.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Scale, you know? Beyond that, you shouldn't want to play it.
No, you're right.
So why does it matter how bad it is?
Yeah,
you know?
It's true.
Unless you're doing a fantasy league.
Right. Yeah. And then it matters.
Then it matters, yeah. But yeah, it's like, okay, once you're below a certain threshold, it's just sort of, you know, it's just sort of trivia at that point.
I could never figure out how to get good at this game. I couldn't. I was like, what do I need to do to succeed? Like, I won that match. I didn't do anything to help it win. Like, I struggled to figure out what the strategy is in this to become good at the game and help your team win.
Is this theming like interesting to the kids? Did it like the whole like exclusive? I guess it's like
because you know
influencer.
Gen Z spends a lot of time in Vegas.
Right.
I don't know, man. You can see how the game starts. You're like, oh, this seems fun, and then you start playing.
Like, there's just elements of this where I'm just like, can I see the marketing focus group documents on this? Like, because I don't understand why this exists.
I don't either.
I've said that since the very beginning. When they first showed this thing, where I'm just like, what are you doing?
I think a lot of people might have said that about Splatoon as well. But you play like one match of Splatoon, you're like, oh, I get it now. Because the territory control in that is effective and clearly, like, displayed. In this, everything just mashes together and it just becomes madness.
Well, at no point also in Splatoon do you become completely helpless.
Right.
Like,
incapacitated.
You're just sort of bouncing around waiting to get to play again.
Yeah. I mean, also in Splatoon, you have the ability to go underground, and that completely changes traversal and your ability to surprise the end. I mean, Splatoon, I think what this game does more than anything is show you how awesome Splatoon is. Because it's the same concept, executed horribly, basically. With a different kind of tech, but they should have known right away that the tech in this, the accumulation effect of the foam, was going to make the competitive angle of the game, like, meaningless, basically. Again, I'm a big third-person shooter guy. I typically love games like this. I am a huge Splatoon fan. I still play Splatoon 3. Every once in a while, I just bust it out and play a couple matches. I enjoy it. I am the right person for this game, and I hated it. I hated it. I played this game for like 3 or 4 hours and was like, I'm good. I'm glad I got it for free and didn't pay for it, because a lot of times we have to pay for games for GameFace, and I would have been really pissed off if I had to pay for this one. So this is free on PlayStation Plus. If you're a subscriber, you can download it for free. If you're asking me if it's worth the gigs on your hard drive, I give that a hearty no. It might be worth downloading just to check it out, because it is, love it or hate it, it is kind of a new concept and a new idea. There is some new technology in play here.
Just because you're unique does not mean you are useful.
But I would also argue that just watching this B-roll is probably all you need to do. Because you can see what it's all about right here. But do you see what I'm saying, Matt, about how the enemies are always behind like the mounds of the foam, and you can't tell which one's like close and which one you should sight up? Like, it doesn't send all the right message for a competitive player. And this is a competitive game, and that's a deal breaker in my opinion. So I say stay way far away from Foamstars. I would not even recommend that you just download it for free. I would claim it like you did, just because it could be another PT or something like that. I doubt it. Although PT isn't much better than Foamstars, to be perfectly honest with you.
Well, also, they're never going to take that away because people pay money for this.
Right.
Nobody ever paid for PT. That's why
true.
they could pull it down.
That's true. But I would go claim it. I would not download it. Unless you're just somebody who likes to check out different things because you're into game design or you're an aspiring game developer. There's something to learn from this, I think. Not all good, but there is something to learn from it. But generally, I would just stay away. And
Square Enix did not learn anything from this.
And once it goes out of PlayStation Plus and they're charging money for it, hell no. I can't even imagine the amount of work they would have to do to this game to make it worth paying money for. Cinetyke asks, I wonder why PlayStation goes along with Square Enix on this kind of thing. Does Square Enix force it, or else Final Fantasy is an exclusive or something? No, they don't play that cutthroat. I think, here's the thing, they're a partner. And with partners in any business, you're going to get some good, you're going to get some bad. You hope that the good outweighs the bad.
Yeah, and what does it cost Sony really to put this as their game for the month on that?
I mean, they probably gave them maybe $1 million.
Yeah.
You think about what they make off of PlayStation Plus subscriptions every month.
Drop in the bucket.
It's a joke.
Square gets some guaranteed income from a game that was going to obviously flop.
Yep.
And everybody kind of wins, and nobody learns anything.
Yeah, so. Pretty much. I think, again, if you are into game development or making games or the creation of games, I think there's something to glean from Foamstars, but that's pretty much the absolute height of the value of that game. So Foamstars, stay far away. Vincent asks, how does it compare to Square Enix's other bombs like Babylon's Fall and The Quiet Man?
Oh, yeah.
I'll say this. I did play Babylon's Fall for like over 10 hours. At least. I know. It's better than this. Babylon's Fall is better than this game. Not as creative or unique, but it's better. Yeah. Foamstars is more creative for sure. Even though they did.
We're once again in that whole 1 out of 5. Doesn't really
You're right.
Like,
we are splitting hairs, and they're not good hairs. Anything else?
How long before they shut this down?
The Legacy says, this is the PlayStation All-Stars of Splatoon. Yeah, the other thing I would say, too, is you saw in that B-roll, characters completely forgettable. Like, total, like
the PlayStation All-Stars definitely had a little more to it than this did. Although, yes, it is, to Smash Brothers what this is to Splatoon.
Yep. So there you go. That's Foamstars. It is a PlayStation exclusive. It is on PlayStation Plus. Don't even think about paying money for it.
There's no microtransactions or anything?
There are. Yeah, but I didn't. I'll be honest. I didn't play it enough to even know if they're intrusive or not. Like I couldn't get past.
I'm
that
sure
point.
It's costumes and bling. And
it is. It's cosmetics and stuff. Like I didn't see any guns. But if they did use guns, that would be pretty slimy.
The guns seem to be very tied to the characters, so I'm sure there's skins for them, but it would surprise me.
Yeah. So anyway, there you go. That is Foamstars.
For Halloween, they should turn the foam into blood.
And then next up is that's right. It's time for Name That Game Tune, brought to you by SoundWizardry.com. If you need any audio work done for anything, whether you're working on a game, whether you're working on a trailer for your game, whether you're just working on an audio piece or a podcast or a TV or a show that you're working on for your YouTube channel, any audio, anything, go to SoundWizardry.com. They can handle all of it. They're incredible. They worked on 2 Game of the Year contenders last year. Their resume is impeccable. Glenn is really, really good people. The type of person you want to work with. Go to SoundWizardry.com. And with that, we're going to play Name That Game Tune. The second week that we've done this. There's some changes. We got some new graphics. I definitely boosted up the level of the audio sample so you guys can hear them more clearly. So I think everything should go a little bit more copacetically in that way. And a couple things to remember. We play this just like the old screenshot Name That Game. Basically, I play 5 audio samples from a video game, and you try to guess the name of the video game. You're not playing against Matt. It's just the first person in our chat to get it wins. If you have won Name That Game this year, do not play. Because...
that one guy.
Yeah, actually, we only have 1 or 2 winners this year so far, I think.
Just one.
Just one, yep. So there's only one person out of it, but so pretty much everybody can play. And then the other thing is that we put the chat into slow mode. So don't just spam the chat with a bunch of game titles hoping you guess it right. You can only send one chat every 60 seconds. So make sure you save it until you know exactly what it is. And with that, also, by the way, I should say, thanks to Silk Snake for our intro for Name That Game. I did a little bit of work on the thing that he sent me to combine the new stuff he sent me with his old audio sample that he sent us. So anyway, thanks to Silk Snake for hooking up the intro for Name That Game, and thanks to SoundWizardry.com for sponsoring the segment. And with that, it's time for the new Name That Game tune. And yep, I've got chat hooked up in there so you guys can see it as you guess. I think it's an upgrade over what we had last week. Like I said, This is a work in progress, our new show, and so we'll keep improving things and making them better as we go.
I gotta find a way to listen to this thing.
Yep, that's the next step, so that you can actually compete against them next time. So anyway, again, 5 samples from a video game. You try to guess the name of the game. Here is the first sample. All right, there you go. And I'll say this, Matt, I have been considering maybe playing it twice. Mm-hmm. Because I kind of did like an experiment myself and was like, hey, what if I was playing this? Like, how would it be? And I think I felt like I needed to hear it twice. I don't know if playing it twice is going to help people with cheating either.
Is it Earthbound?
It's not Earthbound. Kid Icarus, no. Tetris, no. Pitfall, no. Bonk, no. That's a good guess, though. Adventure Island, no. Mario Land and the 6 Golden Coins, no. That's a pretty good guess, though, Dreylox. I think that's how I say your name. I hope I got it right. Mr. Do, no. Okay, that looks like it from the first sample. And again, I try to make it so they get more obvious as we go. Here is sample number 2. All right, let's see if we get any guesses from that one. Not right away. Oh, we got it. Eric Cartmenez got it. It is Punch-Out. Congratulations, Eric Cartmenez. Here's a round of applause for your victory. Mello Pintor also got it from that one. A couple people did. Ultimate Villain got it. Manny DR1 got it. Yep. It was Punch-Out. A lot of people got it from that.
What was it?
That one, I think, was the Defeat song that you play when you lose.
What was the first thing?
The first thing was like this obscure like menu music. Yep. And then here's the third one, if you guys have made it that far. Here's the fourth one. My fingers are too slow. And here's the last one, which would have been obvious to anybody who had played Punch-Out. Yep. That was, so Console Eye says you can hear the crowd. Yep. And so that was when I was working on the samples for this, like the first couple, I cut the crowd out. Because I was like, that'll give it up. At least then they'll know it's like a sports thing or whatever.
Well, also, the crowd on Punch-Out is very distinct.
It is distinct.
If you've heard that for hours and hours playing that game, you're going to know that.
Yeah. And then, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. And then, I don't know what's going on.
Starting over. 3 more hours.
Yeah. Stop that. So like for the third and the fourth one, I left the crowd in because I was like, these guys need to get this and they need to get it right and they need to win. So Eric Cartmenez, first of all, congratulations for winning. I'm happy to be able to return a little bit of the cash that you gave me from our Steelers bet last year. So congratulations, you got a little bit of your cash back. I should have also mentioned off the top that the winner gets a free game. And so Eric Cartmenez will get a free game. And I should have also mentioned that if you don't play PC games, you shouldn't play because all the codes that we give away to the winners are for PC. But I think Eric has a PC and plays PC games, so I think we should be good. And with that, I guess we can do some Q&A. If you guys have some questions for Matt and I, go at SIFTD Games so we can pluck out the questions from all the rest. We have some time. We have about 10 minutes. We can answer a couple questions here.
Aren't we using OBS now?
We are, yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Mitchell K. Ness just says, still believe Shane just needs to use OBS. We are using OBS.
Yeah, that's what we're streaming on. That's how we finally did our 1080p stream.
I'm not sure what OBS he's looking for.
Oh, I think maybe he's saying instead of a TriCaster, use OBS.
Oh, I guess.
But that's ridiculous.
I think that's how most streamers do it.
No, they do. But OBS is nothing compared to a TriCaster as far as what it can do. You can see it. If you look at other podcasts that use OBS, you can see they don't do the stuff that we do. Norix Nessie 94, thank you for Twitch Prime. I also paid $10,000 for our TriCaster, and we're going to effing use it. So, sorry, buddy. Manny DR1, Matt's thoughts on Madam Web. I don't even know what that is. Sup with MCU. He's speaking some other language I don't understand.
Madam Web is the new Sony Spider-Man villain spin-off.
Okay.
That comes out tomorrow. MCU is the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I know that, obviously.
Madam Web, I think last I saw, was sitting somewhere on a 33 on Metacritic.
Oh.
It has been called the Cats of superhero movies.
Okay.
It looks absolutely terrible. The PR campaign has mostly been Dakota Johnson going around saying that the movie is awful and also the industry is about to collapse. So that's an interesting message to send. Yeah, it's not looking good. I think the Bob Marley biopic is going to beat it this weekend.
I'm actually excited for that biopic.
It's that
Have you
also
heard anything about it?
Nothing good, but better than Madam Web.
That sucks. I'm disappointed to hear that.
So Madam Web, it seems like going to be a big bomb. Outside of people, but a lot of the reviews are like, wait till it comes to home video, get stoned and make fun of it. But that's about it.
Okay.
Future MCU. Well, the only MCU movie this year is Deadpool 3.
That's it.
Deadpool and Wolverine, which premiered the trailer on the Super Bowl. And it is the most viewed trailer of all time.
Really?
It got 365 million views in 24 hours.
For Deadpool?
For Wolverine.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. I mean, Deadpool's popular, but it's Wolverine.
The crowd showed up for Wolverine.
Yeah, I mean, Wolverine's not really... It was funny, there was some people complaining. It's like, why don't you show Wolverine? We've already seen him in the set photos. I'm like, yeah, 99% of the audience doesn't know this movie even existed until they saw the Super Bowl ad, guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Deadpool's gonna do pretty good. I think you're probably looking at the new top grossing R-rated film of all time when that hits. And there are rumors that it was originally going to be titled Deadpool Saves the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which would have been a reference to a comic book called Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. Mm-hmm. But it's a big multiverse thing. There's rumors that Jennifer Garner is coming back as Elektra in it, and anyone is on the table in terms of the multiverse stuff. Well, everyone's going nuts about the shot where he reloads the guns in midair, but no one seems to notice that he's doing that in front of a destroyed 20th Century Fox logo. And the TVA from Loki is after him.
Okay.
The people who guard the timeline. Probably because of the end of Deadpool 2 where he changed all the timeline shit.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yes, should be, I think you're looking at probably maybe $1 billion on that one.
Wow.
And then there's only 5 comic book movies this year. There's Madam Web, Deadpool 3, Kraven, which is the next Sony garbage, Joker 2, which is a musical, starring Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn.
Wow.
That's real. I'm not making that up. That's real.
That's crazy.
And Venom 3, which actually is still shooting, so I don't know if Venom 3 is still going to come out in November.
Probably not. Yeah.
But it's on the schedule for November.
Okay.
Remember when we thought Spider-Verse 3 was going to come out like a month and a half? That was good times. But yeah, the MCU is kind of having a little bit of we got to have a plan here, because it turns out that after they achieved one of the greatest things in commercial cinema, that nobody sat down and worked out what they're going to do next, and they just started throwing movies out and hoping it was all going to come together like they'd done before, and it didn't.
Yeah.
And I think part of the problem is they wanted to hang the multiverse saga on T'Challa, Peter Parker, and Captain Marvel, and Chadwick Boseman died.
Right. And
Sony started getting weird about the Spider-Man license, and Brie Larson backed way the fuck off as much as she could because she was getting so much hate and death threats from useless weirdos and fragile men. So they were kind of left without a protagonist. If you go back and watch the old MCU, it's pretty clear from the beginning Steve Rogers and Tony Stark are the main characters of the story.
Yeah, of course.
There isn't really a main character of the story right now. And that's a problem. That's the big problem.
Establish it.
People can go on about the bullshit about the diversity requirements or the MCU or whatever nonsense shit they need to tell themselves to sleep at night because they're failures in life, but the real problem is there is no protagonist of the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now. The closest we've gotten right now, I think, is Kamala Khan near the end of the Marvels, who sort of gets the Young Avengers initiative going. I'm like, that movie should have been the third movie after Endgame. Yeah. They needed to get on with it
quicker. Yeah.
So the next MCU movie will be Captain America 4 next year, and that has to be great. It has to be great.
Let's do or die.
If that one doesn't hit hard, if you don't get another Winter Soldier out of that one, I think you're in trouble.
Yeah, I agree.
I think you're already in trouble, but I think you're in maybe unrecoverable tailspin if Captain. And the word is they're doing 4 months of reshoots this year on that, which basically means they're reshooting the movie.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
It's not encouraging.
No, I'm not.
I wouldn't hold my breath.
I mean, I hope so, because I love Sam as Captain America. I think
he's great.
They're gonna finally address that celestial in the middle of the ocean that was from the end of Eternals. Like, there's a lot of cool ideas happening there. And I'm kind of hoping Sam Rockwell comes back, and he got Harrison Ford as Red Hulk, and like there's gonna be some good shit in there. But oh boy, they need to make a great movie. They really need to nail it.
They're standing on the edge right now for sure. All right, let's check you guys out again. Did you guys ask any more questions, or are you just talking about MCU stuff? Oh, here's a long one from Mitchell Ness. Any chance that Microsoft announces at some point that Xbox game purchases will be compatible with the Xbox Store for Windows? I'll talk about playing everywhere and coming to PlayStation with some of the catalog. That will likely expand. This seems like the answer to save face with the brand and keep the ecosystem together. Microsoft seemingly will, that's the longest question ever. Microsoft seemingly will deprioritize more powerful Xbox hardware.
I mean, a bunch of the stuff I've bought on Xbox is available on my PC. Like, play anywhere or whatever. That's basically what that is. So, yeah, they're doing that.
I think so.
I think that'll just get more and more universal as time goes on.
I agree.
For pretty much that exact reason.
Yep. From Justin Horman, is it strange for so many devs to be chasing a games as a service dragon? Only a few surely must succeed with that avenue, and even if they are successful, they're just backing themselves in a corner where they'll need to spend money to continue to support it. Well, I mean, here's the thing, though. I mean, if you watch Pachter Factor, which you guys should all be doing, you know already what kind of money is generated by these games as a service. Like, I don't know how many times he cited the revenue dollars per year for Apex Legends. It's like $500 million. And it's not even like the biggest game as a service. This is what they're chasing.
Yeah. Because you can pitch that to an executive and they know what you're talking about because they have seen the reports.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the there's always going to be some lag time when one of these trends is over, where you're still seeing games that come out that follow that trend, because it's going to take a while for the people in the executive ivory tower to realize that the gravy train is passed.
Yep. It's totally true. So anyway, that's what I would say. It's a license to print money, but you're right.
If you get to be one of the 4 or 5 that actually
because what we found is that the industry, we can really only support like 4 or 5.
Yeah. And because a human being can only play 1 at a time, maybe 2, but playing it seriously to be like one of the people that really, as a lifestyle game, they would call it maybe.
Yeah.
In the marketing department.
Yeah.
There's only room for one of those in someone's life.
Yeah.
Like, to really play and get somewhere with it.
Yeah.
And those are already decided for anyone who's going to play that. So to get a piece of that pie, you have to supplant that game with that person and with enough people to matter.
Yeah.
And like that is I don't think battles get more uphill than that at this point.
I agree, Matt. So I would say, unless you have like a crazy idea that nobody else is doing, don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like
unless you have the next PUBG.
Like Helldivers, I can't believe it sold as well as it did for the quality of the game is there, but that actually worked out. Like, even if people stopped playing in 2 weeks, they still sold 1 million copies. Like, that game didn't cost that much to develop. It probably isn't a loser. PlayStation wants you guys to keep playing because it wants to keep making that recurring revenue, but I think Helldivers is an anomaly because it is a console exclusive. I would hope that other publishers would not look at Helldivers and be like, hey, that's what we can do. No, you can't. Like, look at Square Enix's attempts at these games that in a lot of cases are better than Helldivers, and they bombed. So
no, I can't really think of any of those, but I think you're selling Helldivers a little short, just in the sense that while it doesn't do anything new, the theme matters for some reason.
But I just played that Starship Troopers game, that PC game that was ultimately canceled because they ran out of money.
Well, yeah, it's canceled.
That game's better than Helldivers by several magnitudes.
We'll never know now.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Helldivers came out. That's the difference
a good point.
there.
Yeah. Well, when you have PlayStation behind you,
Sony behind you, it's going to matter. Yeah. I mean, that's why else would Days Gone was it Days Gone? Is that the name of that game?
Days Gone? That's the zombie.
Yeah, that's right. That's the name. That's the other game. I was like, that wasn't Sony game. It never was.
But that wasn't a game as a service. That was just
but it was just a bad game.
Right.
Like you're like, how did this get made?
Because of PlayStation's dollars. Anyway,
once you pass a certain point of no return, I think you come out under the PlayStation banner no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's gonna do it for GameFace episode 376.
Oh, and Cinetyke did ask about Flat Earther, one of the short films.
Oh, yeah.
That Flat Earther goes up online on Friday.
Does it?
On the 16th, because its festival run is over, so it will go up on Vimeo and YouTube.
You will put it up on your your Twitter feed, right?
I'll be retweeting the director when he puts it up. Yeah.
So follow
me.
Kyle, Mkeil, on Twitter, and make sure you check it out.
So whenever Brian puts it up on Friday, I will retweet that, and you can see it there. And then the other one, Cabaseo, will go up, I think, pretty soon.
Okay.
Soon. So they're both going up very soon.
Awesome. A reminder, obviously...
Don't watch it on a phone, please.
Yeah.
That's our only request. Don't watch it on a phone.
Yeah, watch it on a big screen.
At least a tablet.
Yeah. Just a reminder, in case some of you guys jumped in the middle of the episode, that keep an eye on your on-site Sifted subscription accounts. I'm not going to go through everything that happened again at the end of the show like I did at the beginning of the show. If anything funky happens with your account, you get an email saying your payment didn't go through, contact us immediately. If you're watching this show on YouTube or you're listening to it on any of the podcast services out there, and it's on all of them, it would be great if you consider going to patreon.com/sifted and pledging to our Patreon. It appears that we're about to get sunk for a ton of money here, and we need as much support as we can. I'm not kidding, to try and stay alive here. So, again, if you've been sitting on the fence, thinking about maybe supporting us, maybe not, it would be a great time if you go to patreon.com/sifted right now and pledge. If you don't have any money, you can review the show on any podcast service. And I'll say this, Matt, I was pleasantly surprised to see how many reviews we have on Spotify. We have like 90-some reviews on Spotify for the show. So, Spotify crew, thank you, man. It makes a difference. I can see already that our podcast is starting to bubble up on Spotify in more searches. So, it's making a difference. Keep doing it. Again, if you can't afford to support us in any way, that's something that you can do to help. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, go down in the description and learn how to help us with Twitch Prime. You hear us talk about it live on the show all the time. All our awesome crew helping us out with Twitch Prime. It makes a big difference, and we really need that money now. So if you could do that, we would really appreciate it. Thanks, Matt, as always. Thanks to you guys for making the show better, fact-checking us, filling in, asking great questions. We'll see you next Tuesday. GameFace is up and out.